The prosecution is not going to get that man today. No. Because I'm going to get him.
This is the Hagmann and Hagmann Report for today, November 1st, 2012. I'm Doug Hagmann. I'm the host of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report with my son, Joe Hagmann, our co-host. You're about to hear, folks, 3 hours of unbiased and uncensored news analysis. This is information you need to know right now in these perilous times. This is the time of your life. Isn't that a song? Anyway, folks, you can find us on the internet at HomelandSecurityUS.com. You can also watch us as well today. There is a simulcast. We are being simulcast in high-def video on the Christians United Broadcasting Network. However, I'm dark today. I'm actually broadcasting from an undisclosed location within the studio. At any rate, folks, thank you for joining us, and thank you for your belief and trust in us as we walk through this incredible minefield of current events together. We're a listener-supported broadcasting. We want to thank each and every one of you who has helped us stay on the air through your financial support, your prayers, spreading the word about our program, and everything you do. We just can't thank you enough. Now, we'll be taking your calls tonight, of course, at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. Joe, welcome, and thanks for pulling up the video part of the show.
Yeah, it was a little tough getting the lighting right. Still don't have it completely right, but it's good for today.
Yeah, we had to actually
Can't put you on camera the way you look. You've been.
I'm in my jammies.
We didn't get a chance to talk before the show. You were the phone with your BFF. With your source, and I didn't get a chance to tell you this. There are articles up on MSNBC. Sandy power outages could last another 10 days. New winter storm builds. Also. Nor'easter possible along East Coast next week, but not as severe as Sandy.
Kind of like the 1-2 punch, actually. But
yeah, somebody,
Joe, like I said yesterday, and we asserted yesterday, things are going to get a lot worse before they get better over there in the East Coast, New York, New Jersey area.
Yeah, you see it eating up today. People are at their breaking point, not getting gas, waiting in line for hours upon hours. And this is part of this instant gratification society. You'd think in a disaster people would be more patient, more calm, more understanding, but, New York's a nasty place, New Jersey is a nasty place as it is. This doesn't help.
There's the people who don't prepare, who haven't prepared. Now, look, I understand there's a ton of conditions out there that would cause people not to, or a breakdown in preparations. I understand all that. But the people out there who are so plugged into these iPhones and their own little world, this own little utopian technocratic world that we live in, and I think everyone should take a lesson from this. Look at New York right now and look at this as insight.
Some of this could have been avoided. Look at all these gas lines. If people had, 10, 20 gallons of gas stored in their garage.
Well, yeah.
It could be avoided.
Well, yes.
To a certain degree.
But there were people out wanting food the next day that didn't have food the next day.
And there's also people, who don't have the resources to prepare.
That's true.
With such short notice.
I understand those people. And those people we need to help. But the people that have just gone through life with this rose-colored glasses stuff, that don't know, that aren't listening to our show, aren't listening to people like Steve Quayle, aren't listening to Rick Wiles, aren't listening to InfoWars. They're not listening to the people with the information. That's on them, is it not? That's on them. It's not.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to be aware. It's every individual's responsibility to know what's going on. And, by any means necessary, you'd think you'd want people to find that out, find out the truth, Well,
sure. And we do our best to tell people what we know, to be true, and try to prepare them and help them prepare for these times. And but the good thing is, those who have prepared, those who have, even if you haven't or you're not in a position to, you can at least look at what New York, what's going on there, as kind of like a, well, what would you call it? Like a, hey, this is the potential future.
Yeah.
Should you not?
I mean, we've talked about this, getting prepared, just in a sensible manner enough, because it's not, you're not preparing for the, apocalypse per se. Just the collapse of society is looming with the QE3 we got going on. The printing presses are rolling at the Federal Reserve, deflating the value of our currency at a rapid pace. They're doing things that they've never before have done. You got, things that happen like these storms that put people out for long periods of time. Look at the power outages. They think it'll last another 10 days. It's been, 4 or 5 days? And just a little bit of responsibility for people who can do it. People who don't or who can't do it, there should be friends, family, neighbors, other people who can help with those people in a perfect society. But we live far from a perfect society.
And I think the important thing here is that what I like to tell everybody is just imagine what you see on, like, for example, the headlines on Drudge, where they take you to these various hot spots of no gas or long gas lines, and the food being minimal. Think about this happening on a national level, all across the nation, in the biggest cities all across the nation. What if that happened? You might be listening to this if you're in Portland or Seattle or Los Angeles or Miami. What would happen in your city in this case? And think about it. Or what would happen if, and we see, even though it's being touted that FEMA has come to the rescue really quick, much unlike...
Look, there's only so much they can do.
Exactly. And even if it was a perfect plan, even if FEMA was perfectly geared to helping without the red tape and bureaucracy, there's only so much you can do. And that's a great point.
Yeah. In the other news, Obama's inauguration preacher says America is going to hell in a handbasket, and white people may go with it. Reverend Joseph Lowry, 91, the reverend who gave the benediction during President Barack Obama's inauguration, said that. He also said, I don't know what kind of N-word wouldn't vote with a black man running, he said, according to the paper.
How profane? How profane is this?
It's just so disgusting to see people be called racist on one side of the media. Yet the people who are really racist, who openly state it, we're not grasping at straws here. From this guy's comments, you can see he obviously doesn't like white people. This is probably, they'll play this off as some, who knows, the guy's old, he's just speaking his mind, whatever. But, they grasp at straws when trying to pin racism on people that are raising issues that have nothing to do with race. But for a pastor, a reverend, is this guy really a reverend? What's wrong with him? Is he delusional? Is he old?
What kind of philosophy or theocracy is that?
Yeah, he goes on to say here, I was looking at the bottom of the article, let's see, Portsmouth Mayor John Howard took part in the event and told the County Reporter that he was pretty shocked by Lowry's statement. He says, the Bible doesn't say anything about white or black to go to heaven. I have a great number of black and white friends. I've been in the military. I make friends with everyone. I'm too old for enemies. And Lowry, this preacher, along with Martin Luther King, helped founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference in 1957. Obama awarded Lowry the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009.
Wow, next is the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm sure.
But it's just it's very hypocritical. And also there's another element to this story, because this is being reported by CBS. Okay, this is something that wouldn't happen 4 years ago with Jeremiah Wright and the major news organizations. So are they? Well, why are they putting this out?
Well, I think that we've come to the adult conclusion, have we not, that the media, the mainstream media, the corporate media, the ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, they're all they're not really true members of a journalistic society or journalistic. They're not journalists. They're actually the propaganda team.
Yeah.
For the cause, the agenda, and I don't want to put it necessarily directly at the feet of Obama. I think it's bigger than that. I think it's bigger than Obama. I think it's more, although people can, in this case, associate with Obama and be correct, but I think it's a little bit bigger than that. But it's an amazing thing to sit back and from the comfort of your own home or office or even whatever you're looking on your laptop or your whatever things you're using. I just kind of want to bump back to what we're seeing happening in New Jersey and New York, because this does kind of all flow together. Here we have Obama, the progressives in office, creating this dependent society, creating this dependent mentality, and throwing in the racist. And if you dare, if you dare say that anything against Obama or this agenda, then you're a racist. And of course, people run from that. People don't want to be labeled racist because they run from that. But then,
and those are the people who are insecure that go along with it, or in their own insecure in their own mind, in their own race. I don't know. It's not even a race issue.
It doesn't matter.
But on this instance, with this pastor, obviously it is. He's turning it into a race issue, and I guess to the point I was saying earlier, Chris Matthews, MSNBC, a lot of these pro-Obama people grasp at straws to pin racism on other people. But when racism is spewed from their own people,
right,
it's ignored. And it's passed off as nothing, innocent. He's being honest, or
Well, correct, and as well, and I should bring this up as well because people can say, well, hey, doesn't Fox do that? Well, yeah, they do. So let's look at this. Of course they do. They're the cheerleaders for the Republicans, if you will, or the conservatives, perhaps, to a lesser extent.
I want to say today I went to the store just a couple hours ago. And I ran into a buddy, a friend I used to know, and we started talking about politics.
A friend you used to know, right?
Well, a guy I used to go to school with, kind of a friend, I guess. He said. He brought up the elections. He said, "You're not voting for Mitt Romney. I see when I look at him, I see the devil in his eyes." And I said, "Well, I started."
What do you see when you look in Obama's eyes?
Yeah, I was a little thrown off. I said, I kind of got into a little debate with him, or just started talking to him. I said, "Look, it's not going to matter." I said, "Obama's just as evil. The drone programs are going to continue after Obama leaves and Romney's president. The illegal Middle East problem's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. The economy's not going to get any better.
Right.
Obamacare's not going away. They're the same person pretty much. They stand for the same issues, the same way on the same issues, on gay marriage, on abortion, whether, Romney can sit here and take a different position now. I don't believe for a second he is anti-abortion. I don't believe for a second he's anti-gay marriage. I don't believe for a second he's anti-Obamacare. And I don't believe for a second he's anti-police state or pro-Constitution. So
okay, but
it doesn't matter.
If you are looking for perfection in a candidate that's running against Obama, what are you going to end up with? 4 more years of Obama. That's my view.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at it from stepping away from that. Who's better or worse? And that's what I was trying to talk to him about. Like, it doesn't really matter which guy stays in there, except Obama is really bad at what we're seeing. We just don't know what Romney's going to do. We just can look by what he said and what he's done in his own state. And what has he done? He's passed Romneycare. He supports the NDAA.
That's right.
His foreign policy won't be much different. His monetary policy won't be any different because who controls that? Not the president, the Federal Reserve, and the international banking cabal.
That's true.
So
now, the only thing that I could say right now about this is it's perhaps possible, and I believe this to be true. I don't have any real facts to back this up, but I believe that Romney would probably buy us more time.
Yeah,
and
it could be the other way around too, though.
Yeah, it certainly could. Well, that's very true. Yeah, wow. So
nothing's for sure.
No, and back to the opening of the program, these are perilous times, and
yeah,
wow.
People are questioning: are there going to be elections? I talked to somebody who told me about somebody in a courtroom employee, courthouse employee in a small town, talking about they might change the election day. Now I'm reading an article here, New Jersey to use military trucks as polling places. This is from the AP. New Jersey state officials say they are extending the deadline for mail-in ballots and will deploy military trucks to serve as polling places on Election Day in storm-battered communities. Republican Secretary and Lieutenant Governor Kim Gudango said Thursday court clerks' offices have been ordered to remain open this weekend to help process mail-in ballots. Voters will be able to go to clerks' offices through Tuesday to fill out mail ballots and hand them in. Also says that many of the state's 3,000 polling places have electricity, but she will know better Friday. More than 1.7 million electric customers are without power. Now, I assume that's just in the New Jersey area. And also, on other election news, international observers say states are out of line. The group hosting international election observers said Thursday that the state officials in Iowa and Texas are needlessly blocking access to the decade-old process the United States already has agreed to, an official said Thursday.
Well, yeah, boy, you know, there's constitutional issues here. Isn't it funny that of course, when did Obama or any of the government, including Congress, when did they pay attention to the Constitution?
Yeah, they work harder at dissecting it and getting rid of its key provisions.
Right. And remember, folks, the bipartisan super Congress that they created, that was, again, both parties. Did they have constitutional authority to do that? Well, you know, some people argue yes, some people argue no, but what does the Constitution say about it? You can spin it any way you want, but the bottom line is that the Constitution appears to be taking a backseat. And look what Bush said too. The Constitution is just a GD piece of paper. So the shredding of the Constitution has been going on for multiple administrations, and and how many people, if excuse me, if this administration say, you know what, in deference to the people out there in New Jersey and New York that really can't get to the polls, and perhaps they can't. I mean, look at the pictures. Yeah. We're gonna extend the election now. So every vote counts.
We talked yesterday about them saying Ohio, if it is the deciding factor in the electoral college this election, that the results may not be until November 17th. That's what they're saying. Also, other places where, like MSNBC, were mentioning that elections could be possibly delayed due to Hurricane Sandy.
But I do want to just make it known, of course, that the elections are not decided on the popular vote. They're decided by electoral vote.
Right.
And the delegates can be. Now, the states under the Constitution do have the ability, per state, to send off their delegates based on, they could say, okay, our delegates are voting this way. And that would be constitutional, but would it be correct? Look, here it doesn't really matter. Here's what to me how I see it, and the people I talk to within DHS, a couple of people within DHS, but one in particular, they see this as being the linchpin for. They're widely expecting. Okay, let me put it this way: they're widely expecting right now some sort of patriotic movement to be sick and tired of the lack of constitutional. How can I put this? Lack of concern to the Constitution, and they're ready, according to my source, they're ready to have an all-out confrontation with people attempting to say, "Hey, this is baloney. This is foul. This is not right. You've got to adhere to the Constitution, in spite of Obama's desires and wishes."
Yeah.
So that's what they're looking at.
In other news, I saw this today. Bishop orders priests to read anti-Obama letter at Sunday sermons. Joining the chorus of Roman Catholic clergy in Illinois criticizing Barack Obama before next week's election, Peoria Bishop Daniel Jenke ordered priests to read a letter to parishioners on Sunday before the presidential election, explaining that politicians who support abortion rights also reject Jesus. By virtue of your vow of obedience to me as your bishop, I require that this letter be personally read by each celebrating priest each weekend mass. At each weekend mass, Jenke wrote in a letter circulated to the clergy in the Catholic Diocese of Peoria. In the letter, Jenke cautions his parishioners that Obama and the majority of the U.S. senators will not reconsider the mandate that would require employers, including religious groups, to provide free birth control coverage in their health care plans. This is an assault upon our religious freedom, is simply without precedent in the American political and legal system, Jenke wrote.
Okay, and this is never before in history, I mean in recent history, has the Roman Catholic Church really banded together in this fashion against a particular...
no, it's good to see it happening. It goes on to say, today Catholic politicians, bureaucrats, and their electoral supporters who callously enable the destruction of innocent human life in the womb also thereby reject Jesus as their Lord. They are objectively guilty of a grave sin. And he's right.
Well, exactly, and then you're going to have the people on the other side, the supporters of this progressive mindset, this socialist communist agenda, say, well, all right, that's sufficient for me. We need to yank the 501c3 status.
Well, he says this again. I'm not telling you which party or which candidates to vote for or against.
Yeah.
But I am saying that you need to think and pray very carefully about your vote, because your vote for a candidate who promotes actions or behaviors that are that are evil and gravely sinful makes you morally complicit and places the eternal salvation of your own soul in serious jeopardy. Now, with applying what this man says to Romney, doesn't it do the same thing?
Well, you're talking about the other side. Well, yeah, of course it does. But who's going to hold whose feet to the fire, and who has the bigger mouth, and who has the bigger cheerleading section in the media?
Well, I know who's going to hold everyone's feet to the fire at one point or another, and that's Jesus on Judgment Day.
That's right. Exactly.
And that's what we need to think about when we're voting. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't vote for anybody. I'm just saying we need to consult him in all decisions in our life, and this is not something that is exempt from that.
Well, I've talked to a whole host of people that there seems to be a number of different mindsets out there. Number one, well, I'm not going to vote for either party. I'm not going to vote because my vote, if you vote for the lesser of two evils, it's still evil, and therefore, I don't want on Judgment Day to be rendered as part or as facilitating the agenda of evil, which I understand that mindset. The second one is I'll vote for Romney because Romney's going to change things. Well, that's a pretty interesting and pretty basic mindset, but when it comes right down to it, is there going to be enough change? Well, long-term change? Well, not necessarily. But then again, can we buy some time in order to save souls? Well, isn't that our job? I mean, really, the bottom line, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We're trying to help others by the information which we provide. That's what we're doing. And what's that help consist of? First of all, first and foremost is a spiritual aspect, getting your mind right, getting your house in order for the spiritual battle that lies ahead. And that's what we're doing here. I mean, that's the real main thrust of what we're doing. And to do that, you've got to address earthly issues, temporal issues, and so this is more than just a battle. And Steve Quayle says it well. Steve Quayle says it very well. This is more than a battle on an earthly level. It's a battle on all levels, on the spiritual level. And I think that we're seeing, look at the headlines we're seeing now, 6 days before the election.
I mean, I got two right here that are really important. I think one, court okays warrantless use of hidden camera surveillance or hidden surveillance cameras, and also Americans for Tax Reform. New Obama tax form mandates Americans report personal health ID info to IRS.
Now, we need to spend some time on that second, well, on both actually, but on that second matter.
We'll start with that. Here's why the IRS will require Americans to disclose their personal health ID information starting in 2014. When Obamacare's individual mandate takes effect in 2014, all Americans who file income tax returns must complete an additional IRS tax form. The new form will require disclosure of a taxpayer's personal identifying health information in order to determine the compliance with the Affordable Health Care Act.
Okay.
The Affordable Health Care Act's individual mandate. As confirmed by IRS testimony...
Thank you for that. Thank you.
As confirmed by IRS testimony to the Tax Writing House Committee on Ways and Means, taxpayers will file their tax returns reporting their health insurance coverage and or making a payment. So why will the Obama IRS require your personal identifying health information? Simply put, there is no way for the IRS to enforce Obamacare's individual mandate without such an invasive reporting scheme. Every January, health insurance companies across America will send out tax documents to each insured individual. This tax document, a copy of which will be furnished to the IRS, must contain sufficient information for taxpayers to prove that they purchased qualifying health insurance under Obamacare. This new tax information document must, at a minimum, contain the name and health insurance identification number of the taxpayer, the name and tax identification number of the health insurance company, the number of months the taxpayer was covered by this insurance plan, and whether or not the plan was purchased in one of Obamacare's exchanges. I say you throw the whole paper out and tell them to go shove it.
Well, yes,
I mean, really?
Yes, but okay, now
get out of my face. Get out of my.
Do we take the
record,
approach? But,
get out of my life.
But and this is a matter that you've got to pick the areas of your battle, or pick your battles.
Yeah.
Or
I'm picking not to involve myself in this one.
Well, okay.
I mean,
at what point do you do something that would take you out of the game? And that's where in the timeline of this game, and we're thinking long term now, because this is not going to be short. At which point do you say, okay, this is my line in the sand, and you go after it? In so doing, that you actually take yourself out of the game, and this is going to be part of it, because the enforcement mechanism here is the IRS, and it has been all along since its inception. The IRS has been collecting. It's a
criminal organization.
Well, it is, but it's also the method, the means by which the America is being controlled. The IRS, it's. I don't want to get into that area, because number one, I'm not an expert, but we should have an expert on to talk about how you can get away, for example, with what Ann Barnhart did. A little bit more unscathed than her situation. But look, recognize this right now in this. At this time, the IRS is actually the enforcement and collection of data mechanism for this Affordable Health Care Act, and none of this is good. This is not good. Now, how do we fight this? We've got to learn. We've got to get some people. We've got to get our minds right. We've got to get together, because we've got to fight this. But how do we do it?
Somebody in chat said, when you tell them to shove it, you don't get. They take it out of your tax return. Yeah, that might be right, but money is not something to compromise on your values over.
I understand that, but see, what did you accomplish? I think that's what we have to step back,
right?
Step back and say, okay, what did we accomplish by doing what we're doing?
Telling the government, the overreaching, illegal criminal government, that we're not going to go along and comply with their unconstitutional, illegal order.
Okay, as one person, and one voice in the wind, how's that working out for you?
Well, with our voice on the radio show, I don't know. We have a different advantage, I guess, than a normal person. It doesn't. I'm not saying we would get let go. We'd probably be hit harder than anyone else, but
well, of course,
no,
but again,
but for the average person, yes.
All right,
so for us, yes. I mean, it could be a jailable offense. It could be a finable offense. I don't know.
But if we develop a logistical resistance, one that's coordinated, a coordinated resistance, which I think is important to do. If we all get together and develop a ground floor, grassroots resistance where everybody's on the same page, and this is what we're going to do. This is unconstitutional. Here's why. Look, bad things happen. Let's be adults about things, and let's fight the fight. And then how are we going to fight the fight without, I mean, in order to make the best inroads in our battle without getting taken out first? This is, I think, what we have to do. Well, because we're fighting it as a tremendously evil force.
All I know is that they can take anything they want, but they're not going to take my soul. And
well, of course,
as long as they are not trying, and
when you're
not taking my soul, I don't care what they take.
But see, okay, what earthly good are you to the cause, the agenda, in promoting God's work if you're taken out? If you actually are willingly taken out of the game? I
don't know.
Do you that's in God's hands. Do you become a prison minister?
That's in God's hands.
Okay, or are you on the outside fomenting the resistance?
That's I don't know. That's, like I said, that's what the Lord will take care of. I have faith that He would. Is this an issue you want to? Is your personal health? And see, this is to me an opening a door that we don't want to go down to, the microchipping, to the RFID. All your information needs to be in one place so we can scan it. This is the segue into that, okay, in a way. Whether they go for a permanent implant or, a card with RFID information on it that they just scan that you keep in your wallet, it's still, you're taking those steps towards this.
Yes.
And so by people standing out and saying, no, I'm not going to do this because of, this is where I see it going, maybe it'll open a few eyes for some other people.
Well, right, but I think the core question is right now, how can we, every listener to this broadcast, every person, with the agenda, with the intent on fighting the good fight and fighting and being effective. I suppose fighting it is one thing. Fighting it and being effective is something totally different. Or at least being as effective as the conditions permit at the time you're in the battle. I think that's what we have to look at. So rather than make yourself a martyr, and I'm not decrying, or I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. What I'm saying is let's look at this from a battle perspective, because this is a battle. This is a spiritual battle. This is an earthly battle. This is something that we've got to win. I mean, in doing this, in the process, we've got to grab and educate other people to save their souls. I mean, that's what this is all about, their souls. It's one thing to talk about on the earthly plane, to talk about, well, this is a battle against big government. It certainly is. It sure is. But this is also a battle for all the marbles, isn't it? This is a battle for your eternal salvation. This is a battle where we have to start looking at, what is not only what is your legacy going to be, your earthly legacy, but what's going to be written in the book of life about you in heaven. All right. So let's not, if we can help it, let's not take ourselves out of the throes of battle right now by creating this erroneous line in the sand. Let's be smarter than they are, or attempt to be, and let's structure our resistance to the extent where we can actually make a difference, and in so doing, buy us some time, save more souls, get more, because that's what it's all about, is the collection of souls and the big thing, in the big scheme of things. That's my view. Maybe I'm off, but that's my view.
All right.
So. But this form, look, I'm not, I don't believe in giving them a baseball bat to hit you over the head with. That's my personal view. I'm going to consult some people that know the issues, and I'm going to ask them, and if possible, I'm going to get them on the radio to give. Now, I'm not talking about somebody that would just going to roll over and say, okay, adhere to the official line. No, I want to talk to people who know what's at stake here, who know that the battle is a spiritual, who know what is going on, and bring them on the line. We're not going to make any mistakes in this regard. So, but personally, I'm not going to give somebody a baseball bat to hit me over the head with in the form of information that they are not legally or morally entitled to. So, thank you, but. Okay. Go ahead. And at some point in time, too, Joe, because we did not have a lot of time before the show to really talk. I want to talk about this Ulsterman this White House Insider, I believe it is, or Wall Street Insider, which it's Wall Street Insider. because this is information that somewhat dovetails with my DHS source. There's a little bit of a difference here, but we'll hit that in the second hour.
Okay. Nor'easter possible along East Coast next week, but not as severe as Sandy. This is interesting, as I don't know if this is Tony, this tropical depression Tony that is out there in the Atlantic, but I'll just read this here. A nor'easter winter storm could hit mid-Atlantic and New England next week. The National Weather Service warned, but said the impact would be nowhere near as devastating as Superstorm Sandy. The storm may affect regions anywhere between Election Day and to next Thursday, the Service's Prediction Center said in a statement Thursday afternoon.
Well,
increasing winds along coastal New England and coastal mid-Atlantic states Tuesday onward may lead to some coastal flooding and beach erosion, it added. In a statement earlier Thursday, the center said it should be noted that this system is expected to be much weaker than Hurricane Sandy and produce impacts much less extreme and mainly away from the region most strongly impacted by Sandy. The Weather Channel echoed that scenario. At this time, it looks as though coastal impacts would be farther north along New England coast than we saw with Sandy. They said they wrote Weather.com winter weather expert Tom Nizzle. Snowfall would be confined to a northern New England system. Also, the system would not be anywhere as impactful as Sandy. That being said, it is much too early to discuss details, and we will need to keep a close eye on future forecasts to find the evolution of this system.
Well, this is winter, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this. Well, not quite, not technically not winter, but this is the time of year when snow falls. We get storms in the Northeast. It's kind of odd weather. It's unpredictable. You know, if you're an adult and if you are responsible and if your head's not stuck in some personal eye device, then we prepare, and to the best that we have the ability to prepare. You know, we are leaders of our families. We are tasked with the assignment to prepare, and we just do it. Okay, you know, as I look at these lines at the New Jersey and New York gas stations, where there's tons of lines there, I wonder whether are these people there to refill their 4 or 5 gas tanks containers that they had in their garage or whatever, to fill their generators? Probably not. Maybe they were living in apartments and didn't have, you know, their gas filled up. But, you know, here again, I wonder too, and I don't want to put the blame on anyone without knowing the facts, because there are people, if you look at that line, I'm sure there are people in that line that did prepare and that are just there to, you know, re-up on supplies and such, or, you know, gas, for example, which is a perishable commodity. I mean, you use it in the generator, it's gone. And if you don't have the ability to store it, well, you know, you've got to do what you can do. So, those people aside, you know, it's the people that didn't prepare that I've got that should be. Well, you know, what do you expect? But I want to read something here, Joe. From speaking of the weather, let me grab this. The gentleman that called last week from the Bronx. Do you remember that call?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me read this email to him. I just got this email today at 4:30 in the afternoon. Kind of a sit rep report here. In fact, if you recall, the caller, his name was Michael. He called the other night, in fact, the night of the storm. He was calling from Bronx. And he writes that, lucky for me, I still have power, water, cable, and internet. Even though I got my family ready for anything like this or something worse, I'm looking around me and I see gas stations. I see that gas stations are packed. Food stores are still empty in some locations. People I care about are still without power, and it's been a week so far. I'm currently compiling video and images I've taken during and after the storm to send to you. I will send it sometime today, later today. Now he writes that his grandfather's birthday is, apparently today is his grandfather's birthday. He's turning 84 years old. He's a war vet who survived the Korean War. if you could see the news here, a woman was on TV crying about not having food or water for her kids as she is getting stuff from FEMA. Now, what day are we into this? What day number are we into this?
Sandy hit Monday.
So this is Thursday.
Day 4. Day 3, really.
Day 3. All right, so we're already seeing a woman, with kids, with children, not having food and having, within a 3-day window, having to apply or beg FEMA to come to her rescue. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about that person. I don't know the circumstances, but this is reality. Some places still continue to have very bad gas leaks, to the point where the news is saying the areas like that are firebombs waiting to go off. Now, I guess this kind of, folks, listen to this, because this is going to be, you're going to be reading about this in coming days. CDC reports from New York City about viral outbreaks. Now, this caller, Michael, from the other day, there is really some nasty stuff in the water. And he's looking at the water that's in the streets and in people's homes and in people's businesses and running everywhere. The water, trash. Trash has been piling up now for over a week. Sanitation's an issue. Rats are coming back. Viral outbreaks. There's a fear of viral outbreaks in New York City. And it's a real fear, and it's a real concern, and you're going to be hearing about this in the days to come. So, look, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And you can, tune in at News at 11, I guess, as they say. But this is at ground zero, or close to ground zero. I mean, the Bronx is just north of on the north part of Manhattan.
Yeah.
And look, and everyone's packed in there like sardines, man. I'm telling you, it's really incredible. If you lived your life in the Midwest or in the sprawling areas of the country,
when you go there,
no idea what it's like.
It is insane. I mean, I remember, one time I went there, took my sisters. They were going to a concert on just the very most western point of Long Island. We were staying in Secaucus, New Jersey, a 22 mile away trip. Took me 4.5 hours to get those 22 miles.
Why do you think I didn't go?
Yeah.
Why do you think I sent you?
I mean, how many times were we stuck in traffic, for hours?
Of course, yeah. We've been, and
that was on a regular day,
right?
So,
and there are places, and I just want to mention this as well, because people seem not to be able to comprehend this. There are places in New York City where you can actually, and I'm sure this is true in other cities, big cities as well, but never. I don't think to the extent of New York City, where you can be dropped if somebody knocked you out. Gave you knockout drugs and put you in the backseat of a car, blindfolded you, and it just left you in the middle of, we'll say, a Brooklyn street. There, you could walk blocks in multiple directions, all directions, but multiple blocks in all directions, where you would not run into a person that speaks English necessarily, or see a sign in English. It's Chinese, Korean. It depends on what part of town you're in, but it's just an amazing thing. And am I still in America? I mean, to see McDonald's being advertised, the only thing you recognize is the golden arches and the picture of a Big Mac, and the rest is in Chinese. Wow, man, it's incredible in New York City. So this is, but the reason I mention that is because, in addition to the very problems that we're seeing, we're also seeing this merging of cultures and this necessity to be this world-like. Have this world-like ability to communicate, and it's just, wow, man! It forms. Press 1 for English too. You better get a bigger dial pad on the phone.
Yeah, I want to talk about this here. Today we made science fiction science fact. It's known as CHAMP, or the Counter Electronics High-Powered Advanced Missile Project, and is publicly unveiled in a test over western Utah desert on October 16, 2012.
Yep.
You can find this article at our website, homelandsecurityus.com. It's from October 30th. I have an audio to play here of these giddy scientists that were so happy they could knock out power with a missile over the air.
Compare this to the backdrop of Oppenheimer and crew, and then the...
This is made by Boeing. It's an advanced EMP missile that shoots an electromagnetic pulse from the missile directly to buildings or targets Here's the audio. It's 2 minutes.
Though we can't show actual images of the CHAMP or Counter-Electronics High-Powered Microwave Advanced Missile Project, this animation shows a simulated weapon flying over selected targets, hitting them with high-power radio wave bursts and defeating their electrical and data systems without causing injury or collateral damage. But it was no simulation Tuesday over the Utah Test and Training Range, where Boeing and the U.S. Air Force Research Laboratory's Directed Energy Directorate successfully flew the first fully operational CHAMP weapon.
We hit every target we wanted to. We prosecuted everyone. Today we made science fiction science-packed.
This video, recorded during an earlier test, shows what CHAMP is capable of. Watch the computer screens in this office as the directed energy hits the building.
You can't
While
see the screens.
computers were knocked out, there is no structural damage. Fade to black.
When that computer went out, when we fired, it actually took out the cameras as well. We took out everything on that. It was fantastic.
Excellent team. Like I said, the reason we are successful is due to the team and the team effort.
A non-lethal weapon that can defeat targets without collateral damage is an idea that's been portrayed in television and film for decades. But this, says AFRL Champ Lead Test Engineer Peter Finlay, is no movie.
We're not quite up to the place where the Star Trek and Star Wars movies are, but this is definitely an advancement in technology to be able to give us an opportunity to do things that we couldn't do before.
James Dodd, Vice President of Advanced Boeing Military Aircraft, says his team is focused on developing the innovation to protect U.S. troops.
We know this has some capabilities and some impact, and so we're really trying to engage the customer and see if there's a way that we could actually get this fielded and implemented sooner than later.
After its first flight, the CHAMP missile flew to an undisclosed location on the test range, and the flight was intentionally terminated. Boeing and AFRL teams are now analyzing the data and telemetry from this flight, which not only made history, but stands to change it as well.
Interesting.
That's scary.
But do you think for one moment that this is new technology? Of course it's not new.
No.
What's new about this? What's newsworthy about this? It's newsworthy because now they're admitting to what they have.
Yeah, and if they have it,
Yeah.
Russia has it, China has it, and probably some other people that we would not want to have it.
You know, look at, and folks, do this if you can. If you've got spare time, of course everyone's got spare time, right? Look at investigate how the nuclear weapons proliferation, what went on with AQCON, the AQCON network, with Pakistan, with India, all through the 80s, 90s, and early the 2000s, until they stopped. But look at that. Think about that. Investigate that. Understand how that played out in history, and understand what seat that's going to take in the nuclear exchange that is bound to take place somewhere on planet Earth sometime in the near future.
Yeah. We're going to go to the phone calls after I hit this piece of news here. Greek peril, another journalist arrested amidst free speech protest. Another Greek journalist was arrested after threatening to expose damaging information about the country's economy. This move comes amid public protests against government media censorship following two high-profile cases. Facing public discontent and mass protest, Greece's government has been curtailing free speech and implementing media censorship as Parliament tries to pass new harsh austerity measures in order to qualify for new U.S. $40 billion of EU money bailout. So basically,
that's cumbersome. Okay,
what are they saying? Economy in America continues on this current track, and it comes to a slow crash instead of a quick crash. We will see so much of this here. If it comes to a quick crash, we won't have to worry about people being censored because there won't be enough time.
And I think that this brings up a great point right now. Why are we doing what we're doing right now? Is because we need to get the information out before the censorship hits, and there is censorship going on right now. We talked about this a little bit last night. There are certain things that really, when you start talking about, really gets the government censors their underwear in a wad. Okay, one of the things is the monetary system and what's coming with respect to the economic crash. Because why? Because it's on both sides. The Republicans and Democrats, they're both involved in this takedown of our monetary system. Mm-hmm. What happens when our monetary system goes away? What do we lose when our monetary system ends? We lose our national sovereignty.
Yep, and that's been in the works all along.
Exactly, that's been the objective all along.
I recently ordered Netflix, okay, and I found documentary category, political documentary.
Actually, there are
so many.
I gotta tell you, there's a lot on there.
I watched one on the Puritans from the 1600s in the colonies yesterday. I watched one about inside the economic collapse with Hank Paulson and all of the Alan Greenspan. It was like a look inside the Fed and inside the IMF and what was happening inside these big financial institutions.
No, but you have to watch, because some of those they'll give you some of the truth, but not all the truth.
I mean, I know what to look for. I know, like the History Channel will make I watched a Nostradamus thing on the History Channel, and it's basically, they're promoting this guy who was a magician and a wizard, and
yeah, I'm not big on Nostradamus at all, obviously.
Yeah, I was watching. I watched a bunch of documentaries on Nazi Germany. One was called Auschwitz. One was called Joseph Goebbels, the Diary of Joseph Goebbels, where they read his diary basically while they do a film. And there was another one on the financial elements of the Weimar Republic post-World War I in Germany, which led to the rise of Hitler and what he did. And what we are our financial institution, the Federal Reserve, is doing things much worse to us than what was done back then. They're taking an extra step by using the money to buy mortgages, U.S. mortgages.
Okay, all right.
Basically putting the ownership of your home and anybody else's home who has a mortgage being bought up by the Fed under the Federal Reserve now owns the house until you own it outright. And that goes for all mortgages. That's what they're doing with this QE3 stimulus spending.
Well, okay. Well,
we talked about this the other day.
We're also facing the QE Sandy, where there's talk on Wall Street about the possibility of Federal Reserve providing monetary accommodation in response to the damage.
And we know that the dollar value has declined 98% since the inception of the Federal Reserve. We don't have much farther to go. We don't have much longer to go on an economic front. No matter, we have a debt of over $16 trillion. We're reaching the end of the debt limit again by the end of this year. We talked about that yesterday. QE3, there's already talk of QE4 if QE3 doesn't crash the economy.
It's QE
infinity.
Yeah, it's an insane monetary policy designed for nothing less than the destruction of the American economy.
Yeah,
putting money in the top hundreds of people who actually run the things.
Yeah.
And I learned something today. For example, just think about this. For example, we hear about all of the numbers of politicians here in the United States being worth billions of dollars. And I didn't know this, but Putin, for example, is worth $80 billion. Or let me make sure I got that right.
80 billion?
Hold on. Let me make sure. Let me look at my notes here.
Because wasn't Mubarak the richest man, richest leader in the world, or richest leader in the world?
Okay, so I've written down Putin's worth $80 billion in assets and cash. So how did he become that rich? Now, is this... Don't forget, he's also a KGB guy. So some of this, is... I'm not sure. This comes from an intelligence source. Just understand, he didn't get that being... he didn't get that normally. How did he make $80 billion?
Yeah.
Or how did he become worth $80 billion?
Good questions. Let's go to the phones here. Well, we're up against almost the top of the hour. We're going to go to 856. I think this is Sandy. Sandy, you're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Maybe it's not Sandy. Area code 856. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
It's Sheila.
Oh, Sheila, I'm sorry.
Well, it starts with an S. We're close. We're close. Go ahead.
How's it going tonight?
It's going okay. You just threw a whole lot of stuff in there. I was going to talk to you about what's taking place after this storm. And I look at this and I think, where's the backup? Where is the backup? Before they built these tunnels, didn't people cross a bridge? before the tunnels came along. Fox News showed that Brooklyn tunnel yesterday, and it looks like the bowl in New Orleans. They said there's 50 million gallons of water, or 50 foot of water in there, and gas pumps. Why don't they have backup on the pumps? I don't understand that. Where is a second?
Yeah, why don't they have backup power supplies to get the pumps working?
Could we not? I mean,
why couldn't they come in and put generators, like FEMA, come in and put generators with the gas pumps?
But couldn't we take this one step further and to say that this is a method to control the population? I mean, is that out of the realm of possibility? Of course not.
We see that they're calling for the boardwalk not to be, environmentalists are calling for the New Jersey boardwalk not to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
Surprised me a bit. It doesn't surprise me a bit, but you see all this going on. I know there's a senator in New York, I can't remember who he was. He's fuming because they're worrying about this marathon they're going to continue with over the weekend and Manhattan, and he said they've got people buried under rubble and nobody's getting in to do anything about getting the people out. They're not doing. He really went after the Red Cross that they haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And
well,
if this here is not a wake up call, that if people think that they're going to depend on the Fed to take care of them, it ain't going to happen. You're seeing it right before your eyes. These people that own homes along the ocean, yeah, it's nice to look out and see the ocean, but the price is high if something like this happens. And you know it's happened more than once in Florida, and people just go back and rebuild again. And then they want to put this medical, all of our medical records on the internet and whatnot. And then you sit here and you look at this, there's nothing. People stand in long lines to wait to get on a bus, to go to work, like 6-7 hours. They're standing there waiting to get on a bus to go to work. Well, the day shift's over with by the time they get there. It's utter madness going on.
Yep.
And then you got Bloomberg. He's out there telling the people they can, the people that ride the rails, they can't ride them, so they're bringing their cars in. And he's saying that they got to have at least 3 people in the car, and they got the cops down there right outside of the city, and they're checking the cars, and if there ain't 3 people in them, they turn around and tell them they got to leave.
Yeah, I'm
people trying to go to work.
I'm still confused about that. I'm still confused about that whole process. To me, that's kind of like a nonsensical thing to really do. I understand why. I understand that all non-essential people.
He didn't want a lot of heavy traffic in the city.
Well, yeah. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. You been in New York City? Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, they were showing today, it's not, you see nothing but cars and trucks and whatnot, but to make people turn around and leave is just unbelievable. And they sit there in these long lines, and people are starting to fight.
Of course.
And it's a wake-up call to the people. Like you were just saying, Doug, you got to become self-sufficient. I told my son today, I said, you got to get sufficient. But something like this happens maybe once every 100 years. That's the mindset, and most people think that.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Not in my time. But you know what? Maybe Sandy won't happen. But the man-made disaster could, and you better be prepared for it.
Well, I just wonder if this so-called little EMP they made that you had on your website today, do they plan on using that?
Well, they've already used that in theaters of operation in Iraq. Look, it's in use now. They're just bringing this up to the forefront. So this is eye candy for people. That's all. That's all this is.
Yeah, but I guarantee they'll use it. We probably won't hear much about its use, and if they use it on us, we definitely won't hear about it. We'll just see it.
Boy, imagine that. So some high-profile radio talk show, whatever, they're broadcasting. Bang! Whoops! Our computer just fried.
That's one thing about that video that the audio doesn't do justice for. In the video, it shows a simulation of the EMP missile hitting certain specific buildings.
Yeah, gee, I don't know what happened.
Not a whole area.
Well, it's...
Yeah, I can just picture. Oops, we pushed the wrong button. You know, and America's in the dark.
Plausible,
yeah, right.
Plausible deniability, yeah, but that's a focused weapon where they can use that on specific targets like a building. You know, it's. Do we have to remind people again that we've got for example C-130s and planes out there that could from 2 miles away and a mile up can land a ordnance with 5 feet accuracy? Of course not. I mean, there are things like that out there. And this is the level. This is the plane we're going to be fighting on.
Yeah, Sandy, we're up against the break. Or
Sheila.
Yeah. Sorry, the second time today. We're up against.
You're okay. You just upset because you got to get a chip.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann Report. This the
first of
November 2012. I'm Doug Hagmann. And with me is on camera, I must add, is Joe Hagmann. I'm a little camera shy tonight. Now, to have that said, we're going to be
push
back.
The camera right in your direction for the next hour.
Yeah, you can actually see me. But you know what? Now, let's not do that. But anyway, we're going to be back in the second hour talking about the Ulsterman's Wall Street Insider, the fact that Valerie Jarrett is saying after we win this election, it's our turn, payback time. What is real about that?
Taking your calls and more. Stay with us.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Aileta Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call a brick pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP brick packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com. Or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shopping palace. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time with a sundial. You've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, you can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 15th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
Hold on to your seats. The Hagmann and Hagmann flight is now taking off. Doug and Joe Hagmann have cleared the runway of TSA agents, jihadists, political crackpots, and global elitists. Now get ready for some real news. Here they are, Doug and Joe Hagmann.
No sound. All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to hour number 2 of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report this November 1st, 2012. I see in the chat room a lot of people said they lost sound, but sound works, and that's a good thing. We're going to go to calls, but I want to hit this article as I search for I looked on Drudge and saw this popped up. Republican National Committee alleges voting machine troubles in Nevada and other swing states. We've been reporting on this 4 days. And North Carolina, I think Ohio was the other state. The Republican National Committee sent letters to election officials in Nevada and 3 other swing states on Thursday, alleging a significant number of cases where voting machines cast ballots for President Barack Obama when the vote was indeed for the Republican challenger, Mitt Romney. The RNC did not provide documented proof of its allegation. The letter was sent to the Nevada Secretary of State's office, as well as the election officials in swing states, Ohio, North Carolina, Colorado, the RNC. And the RNC said the alleged voting machine problems were the result of miscalibration and hypersensitivity of the machines, and asked officials to recalibrate voting machines on Election Day and instruct poll workers to remind voters to double-check their votes. It's incredible, the stuff we're seeing here with these voting machines. I've never seen so many problems before an election with these things. But, you know, it's happening. And if you don't think there's voter fraud going on,
of course there is.
Yeah.
And
it can happen in so many ways. I mean, you can get double votes. You can get non-citizens to vote. You can rig machines to where you vote for a certain candidate, and it could put, you know.
Well, the latest excuse was the machines are out of calibration. Some machines, because think of the voting surface. Think of the touch screen surface where you actually put your finger on the name, whether it's Obama or Romney or Joe Smith. It doesn't matter. Just think of think of the surface area split up, and we'll just put 5 or 6 presidential candidates on one screen, we'll say, and then you would think that that screen is divided equally among those 6 candidates, 6 names. Sound logical? Of course it does, right? But no. What happens is, according to the official line, the machines become out of calibration. And, well, you know, actually some more real estate on that touch screen is given to Obama. It even goes down and encroaches on the Romney area or the Joe Smith area or whatever. So you might think when you press down on that touch screen that you're actually in the area for a candidate, when in fact the calibration is such that you're actually into another area. And so that's why you've got to check very carefully before you press that send button or whatever button it is, you know, complete, from recollection, complete, whatever, voting is, you know, you're done. Well, check your results.
Here, Eric Herzig, the chairman of the Political Science Department at the University of Nevada in Reno, said the RNC needs to put up or shut up. This is not normal. This is reprehensible. If you do not have direct proof, you are making a claim that undermines the American electoral process. He added they ought to have 100% proof or they've lost credibility as a party. America should just be outraged if they have no proof. And I'm a Republican. So I guess they're not providing proof. But, how come people don't get this mad when the manipulation of Ron Paul was going on, when there was voter fraud going on there?
Right. Exactly. I mean,
it goes back to the Benghazi issue, and why are they so hard pressed to find the truth and get to the facts? Fox News on this issue, but you try to get the facts and truth. Ask the same questions they're asking on Benghazi about Benghazi on 9/11 instead, and see the response you get.
Well, now that brings me to another point. I want to correct the statement I made earlier when I said 5 feet. Doggone metric system. I should have paid more attention in school. It's 5 meters for those purists out there, and we strive to be very accurate. And so let me just say that again. You've got, for example, there are weapons out there that we have weapons that are accurate. From a couple miles away, a mile up, accurate within 5 meters. So please, I understand that I misspoke when I said 5 feet. I should have said 5 meters. But and I want to thank that. Folks, I'll tell you something real quick here. There are people that I've met in my life that I look up to, and I have just a fantastic amount of respect for. And I look at them, and I can only be half. I hope to be only. I mean, if I could be only half the person that person is, man, that would be great. I'd be good. I mean, that'd be great. But here, there's a gentleman that, and I'm not going to, of course, name any names or any affiliations or anything like that. But the person that providing me with some very valuable inside information. Please, people, please say a prayer for him. I'm not going to give his name. Because he's just a source. He's a source, but he's on the inside. He's a man of God. And he's a true warrior for the good. And at times, I suspect I'm sure, I know he has risked his life and in situations, but at this point, he's risking a lot more. Sometimes the battles which you cannot see, not the hot battles or the visible battles, are even hotter than the ones that you can see, and that's what he's involved in. And I want to say thank you, publicly thank him for that, for his position and for his insight and for his guidance. But when we were talking, Joe, during the break, the phone rang, and we were talking about and folks, that's why I do keep a phone right next to me, because of things like this. When we're talking about Obama's position, his visible position out there, let me try to put this in the words so I can actually do justice to what this individual, what this source, what this man has said. Obama there's this creation of Obama as the Messiah, like he's bringing the money down to the FEMA money. It even goes back to the Obama phones. Obama phones. It's all Obama. Obama's giving the money to these people. No, and this individual, this godly man, the source, had reminded me of the scripture in John chapter 13, verse 29. For some of them thought, because Judas had the bag, that Jesus had said unto him, buy those things that we need, that we have need of against the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. In other words, it's deifying the bag holder. It's placing Obama in the position of the Messiah when he's nothing more than the holder of the bag. Or where's this money coming from? Is it coming from Obama's bank account? Of course not.
No. Did you see the headline, Michelle Obama rally, possible Hail Obama chanting?
Yeah, and that's a whole nother issue.
I know.
But that that's true. But let's keep in mind when Obama is, well, in a way it's not. When Obama is hailed as the savior, this Messiah over there in New York and New Jersey, and Christie, bows to his feet and says, "Oh, what's the bow to? What is Obama's position? He's actually giving your money, my money, our money that we've paid in taxes for perhaps a very event like this, to really help those in need." when it comes right down to it, this is what we want our money used for. He's just the bag holder. He's just the bag holder. That's all. And boy, it's not Obama's money. It's part of this Messiah lie. And I was pointed out too that Judas, being the treasurer of the apostles, that was his position. He sought that position. He held the bag of money. Remember the 30 pieces of silver? He was charged with buying those things that we have need of against the feast. In other words, again, John chapter 13, verse 29. Look at that. Look at what's taking place. There's a deification of intentional deification of Judas or Obama, the bag holder, and it's not your money. And I'll tell you, thank you so much for that. Boy, I just wish that he could do like 100 shows, 3-hour-long shows, just turn them loose, man. Wow.
We're going to go to the phones here. I got an unknown. That means probably somebody calling in on Skype. We're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann Report.
Yeah. Go ahead, caller. You're up.
Oh, how you doing, Doug and Joe? This is Lori.
Lori.
Hi, Lori.
Good to talk with you.
Well, I had a couple things. There's a lot going on in there, but Doug, I wanted to mention to you. I don't remember exactly what the wording was. It's something about the voting, and if we could extend it a little longer, more people being saved. I know that's a nice thought. We're told in Acts 17:31 and other places that there's a day appointed. We don't know when it is, but it's already appointed. It's set. We're not going to move that date.
Okay, but does that mean that we don't know that date, and not to do everything in our power to save others or help do what we can? I think that could be a sin in and of itself, could it not?
Oh yeah, I'm not saying we don't do anything. There's a lot of people on that side of the spectrum. I'm just saying though that the day is appointed, but we're still commanded to occupy. So
that's right.
That's all there is to that. And I had another couple things too. We mentioned this with abortion rights. I really hate that term because what that translates out to me is that means we have a right to kill. And that's license to kill, maybe. A right to kill, yeah, you can't give a right to kill. I just don't like that term.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And just because the Supreme Court said that the term person does not apply to the unborn, and yet it applies to corporations, but they want to say, I'm a lunatic. They're the ones saying a corporation's a person, mm-hmm. but a baby is not. It's just insane.
Yeah.
And then 501c3, if they got rid of that, that'd be great. They're tax immune before they get it. They're only exempt once they get it. They don't need it.
Well, I think you raise an interesting point, a couple of interesting points, but one being at the heart of the situation in terms of this abortion rights, which is, I agree with you, totally wrong. It's wrong. There's everything wrong with that phrase or the two words. It's the right to kill. It's the legal right to take a human life. Why in the world can't people understand that simple concept? That what the Supreme Court did with Roe v. Wade, that they have allowed people to take a human life, because, and I think at the heart of this is they don't value the human life. They have a different value system than people of God do. What do you think?
Yeah, no, they don't. It's sacrifice to Molech. And my point is right versus privilege. I mean, Michael Badnarik gets into that, does a real good job of explaining that. It was using the right, and that was my point, is this quote-unquote right to kill. Just because the Supreme Court decided that doesn't mean they make right. I mean, they can't give us right.
Exactly. No, that's yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw an interesting bumper sticker today that says, when Jesus said, love your enemies, I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to kill them. I know that's not to do with abortions, but the mindset of killing people in general, the lack of regard for human life, whether they're your enemies or your friends or unborn babies or alleged militants in foreign countries. It just shows the evil, the true evil that is running this country.
Right. And I have one more point, if I could. Not to plug my show, but you had mentioned about experts when you're talking about IRS.
Yes.
And I actually have one that's pretty good on my show. So I don't know if it's okay to say it.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead.
It's on Blog Talk Radio. The name of it's Lori's Talk News Radio, and specifically she goes by D-Day. She has gone toe-to-toe with IRS, and she has got a way of explaining that stuff. She gets into the details, but she doesn't get bogged down in the minutia. So if anybody's interested, go look that up. Lori's Talk News Radio, and there's a lot of neat ones, but specifically the one to say D-Day.
D-Day, like D-Day, D-Day, you know?
Like D-Day, World War II, June 6th. Yes,
okay,
sir.
all right.
Yeah, Lori's News Talk Radio.
Okay. In fact, have we not? We've gotten messages or corresponded with her.
Yeah, we're signed up to follow her.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And we will check that out. And because look, this, and once again, I all credit goes to people who have given me this information. My source. You know, it's when this centralized control. It all relates to the IRS and yeah, of course the Federal Reserve, but the IRS really domestically creating the central collection database system. You've got to understand that and what this organism really is, or what this organ of government really is and designed to do, and that's how it's going to bite us in the future. So indeed, Lori.
I'm sorry.
No, give us that show again, and what times of day, and how many days a week?
I actually run 7 days a week now. I need my head examined. It's at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern. Specifically, I have a legal section on Fridays, and she's supposed to start coming back on the show, hopefully on a regular basis. I've had so many requests for her to come back, it's not even funny.
All right.
But when you start delving into this IRS, you're going to find it's much worse. And, everybody thinks Ogden, Utah, wrong. Think Puerto Rico, insular states. You'll get all that there on the show and then some. So thanks for that, and I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's great.
Well, thank you. That sounds very intriguing. That sounds very intriguing about the Puerto Rico and other areas. Thanks for the call.
Yeah,
man, we're going to check it out.
That show definitely. Front page on Drudge. Obama left them behind. Hungry dumpster diving in New York City. Staten Islanders plead for help. We need food. Yeah. Looters dress like Con Edison workers to gain access into houses.
I heard about this yesterday about the people dressing up as contractors, and I thought
there was one
come on.
report that said they were dressed up. Some looters were dressed up as FEMA agents, and then there was another report that said they're dressed up as the electric company. Also, Mayor Bloomberg, Mayor of New York, endorses Obama because he's the best to tackle climate change, which caused Superstorm Sandy. He said that he had helped. This had helped reshape his thinking about the presidential campaign. He had been pointedly critical of both Obama and Romney, saying both men failed to address properly the problems afflicting this nation. But he has now decided that Obama is the best candidate to tackle climate change.
Well, okay, it's like global warming, which leads to the cap and trade, the ability to regulate what energy, energy,
air. Water.
It's a big money game. It's all about the money. But follow the money.
The energy is a big problem. We see about every investment Obama's made into solar companies have gone broke. That's just a pure liquidated looting of our tax dollars through backdoor front companies and junk science.
Well, it's not even junk science, though. Wait, Joe.
Because the windmills
it's inefficiency.
They've proven to cost more money.
Right.
The energy is like 10 times higher. The cost of your electric bill would be like 10 times higher if it was all run by wind turbines. I mean, it's just a complete waste program, and they know it, and that's how they're looting, some of this money out. We're going to go back to the phones. Thanks to the people on hold. We're going to go to area code 813. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Very well.
Good. How are
What's
you?
on your mind?
I'm asking for prayer for me. Ever since I've been praying, I learned the satanic calendar for October. I've been praying day and night, and especially it's between 12 and 3. When those witches are up, I am too. And I've been attacked with pain, and then I have food poisoning, so I'm asking for prayer. And also for Pastor Baker. He said today that he got 3 deaths. That's one by Skype, one by video, and one by email. I'm asking for prayer for him. He had told us earlier this week that someone had threatened him and all of his listeners. And so I'm asking for prayer for him because I know he's supposed to come on your show like the 8th or so.
That's right.
You said, Pastor Paul was threatened?
Paul Begley,
Yeah. Wait, wait. Now, you're saying that somebody threatened him and all of his listeners? Is that what you said?
That's what he said earlier this week, and then today he said he'd gotten 3. One by Skype, one by video, and one by email.
Yeah, we get those too. I mean, seriously, we get a whole slew of idiotic threats, and it's not those that you see. It's those that you that you don't expect is the real threat. But I understand that there's intimidation out there.
On Channel 8 here, they showed people getting food out of dumpsters.
Of course.
And I heard that. And I'm wondering why these businesses, when they heard that this storm was coming, why didn't you just give this food away rather than put it in dumpsters and have people on camera taking this food out of dumpsters looking pitiful when you could have just provided this food? You knew you were going to have to go without.
Well, some did. Some did, caller. No, out of fairness, there were a number of businesses that I've actually talked to one who gave the food away in the store rather than have it go bad, and that was in Brooklyn.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I was wondering because what they showed us is, it didn't look good at all, and they'll show what they want you to see. And I was just wondering about that up there, and I just was asking for prayer. I'm not doing too good, so I'm going to hang up, and I just asking you all to keep me lifted up.
Indeed. Now, before you go, do you need physical assistance with anything, caller?
No, thank you. I have my husband. He's here to help me, but I'm home alone during the day. And so I just kind of pretty much stay in and just kind of ride it out, and I pray for others while I'm in pain. My prayers are going out for other people who are in worse shape than I am. So I'm just asking to keep me lifted up, and Pastor.
All right, caller. All right. Look, bless you. You hold on to. You just hang on to the fighting spirit, and if you need anything, send us an email. You've got our email address. I take it since you've got access to communications, you have access to email. We will do what we can for you.
And we'll be praying for you. You have a good night.
Good night. Thank you very much. It's interesting. It's interesting. I want to thank listeners. I want to thank certain listeners out there. I don't have permission to give names, but there are people out there who are using us to pay it forward. Using us as a central clearinghouse, if you will, to help others. Others that people who have called that are in need. There are so many generous people out there. Yeah. And thank you, because what we're doing is we're not only sending that, but matching that to the extent that we can. So it's a dollar for dollar thing. To the extent we can. Okay, that's and it's not. We're in a sense. It's not our money. We're just the bag holders. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, we're just kind of. So we're not doing anything special. It's just very simply doing what we're supposed to do as Christians.
I just received some information here. We're going to have somebody from New York calling in to talk about what he's seen going on in the area.
Is that Michael from the Bronx?
From Brooklyn. This is somebody from Brooklyn. A 21-year-old from Brooklyn will be calling in. So
all right.
I'll let you guys know when he's up and ready. We're going to go back to the phones. Area code 214. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hello, gentlemen. Jan in Dallas.
Hi, Jan.
Hi. I wanted to see if you guys had heard from Dave from Long Island.
I've tried to call him 2 days, and I tried to call him Tuesday and Wednesday, and the phone lines were still down.
Yes, and I could tell you where he's, like I said, it sounds crazy, but I could tell you where he's not. I do have people that, right now it's a little difficult on Long Island for anything. But I could tell you that, we're making attempts to get a hold of him to find out exactly his status.
Well, that's wonderful, and I know we're all sending thoughts of love and prayers to him, and can't wait till he can call back into the show again.
Yeah, I'll let.
And I'm sure he's going to have a heck of a story to tell.
As soon as I get a hold of him, the second I call him and I get a ringtone instead of the dun dun.
Yeah, and cell towers are down.
Yeah,
and it's hit and miss throughout the Long Island. So.
Yeah, but Dave, if you are listening, send us an email. Let us know you're all right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good evening.
Yeah, I could just see Dave in like one of those, and I'm not making fun of him. This is what I'd be like this. I'd be like with the Beverly Hillbillies truck, with Grandma on a, rushing down to Florida saying, "No, get me out of this," or rushing somewhere to safer ground, saying, "Man, what was I thinking?"
Thanks for the call, Jan.
Yeah,
I want to play this audio here. This is Chris Wallace. He is talking about whether drones could have aided the Libyan consulate. He's talking to two Democrats.
Yeah,
and he gets no answer.
I should, in fact, listeners. We'll talk about this further. Sorry, Joe, to extend that. Go ahead.
All right. 1 second here. Let me find the audio. And after I'm done playing this
is real radio,
okay,
isn't it?
I'm going to play this clip of Chris Wallace, and then this is from Sunday,
I believe.
And then I'm going to play a clip this morning from Fox and Friends talking about U.S. drone over final battle in Benghazi.
Okay, this
where
is important.
Senator Lindsey Graham talks to the host from Fox and Friends.
Okay,
we're going to go from one audio to the other, but we'll dissect both of them right on the other side.
Right, which again, understand, folks, that I've got some.
We have a lot of information on this right now that we need to get to. So here is Chris Wallace cornering two Democrats over whether drones could have aided Libyan consulate and gets no answers.
Senator Udall, you are on the Senate Armed Services Committee, also on the Senate Intelligence Committee. How do you answer critics who say that the Obama administration has bungled this before, during, and after the attack?
Chris, we share the grief that Mr. Woods exhibited in that segment. Let me say this. We're going to get to the bottom of this. The Intelligence Committee is going to hold hearings when we return right after the election. The State Department has its own investigation underway. But I have to say this. Any impartial observer who looks at what happened in Benghazi would have to say this situation's been politicized. Governor Romney himself realizes that his actions and his reaction was unbecoming for a potential commander-in-chief. He's backed off those comments and that point of view. In the debate this last week, Benghazi and Libya wasn't even raised when Governor Romney had a chance to discuss it. We ought to be acting in the spirit of Ambassador Stevens. We ought to be pulling together. After 9/11, and by the way, this was a terrorist attack in Libya.
Senator,
we pulled together and we got to the bottom of what happened.
It is a legitimate issue to discuss before an election when 4 Americans were killed, and there are questions of intelligence failures before and during the attack. Is it not?
It is a legitimate issue, but every story leads to political commentary and trying to point fingers. After 9/11, we came together. There were a lot of questions that had to be answered. Let's operate in that same spirit. Let's remember what Ambassador Stevens was trying to do, and let's stand together because the Middle East is crucial. We need to be tough there, but we need to be smart. We need to be engaged. This discussion has been politicized. It hasn't been helpful. It hasn't helped us get to the bottom of what happened.
Let me ask you one last direct question. There were drones that were flying over Benghazi at the time of the attack, during those hours when first the consulate and then the annex, and it was about 6 or 8 hours, were under attack. Were those drones armed?
We're going to find that out. As you mentioned, sit on the Intelligence Committee, so does Senator Warner. We're going to get to the bottom of this. We'll find out what happened, and that information, if appropriate, will be revealed. We have to be careful
whether they were armed,
intelligence sources. I can't comment on that at this point in time, Chris.
Well, you'd certainly agree that if they were armed, that they could have, without, as Leon Panetta said, sending more troops into harm's way, could have been used to try to break up the attack.
The drone assets that we have are remarkable, and they've saved the lives of many, many Americans while we've been getting the bad guys. I look forward to discussing this with you further when I have the information and I'm able to share it with you.
Reports are out this morning showing the United States was anything but prepared for the terrorist attack on our consulate in Benghazi, Libya. And that has lawmakers on Capitol Hill wondering what other information is being held back from the American people. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham has been wondering the same thing, has been acting on it. He's among those asking questions. He's a member of the Senate Armed Services Committee. Senator, as this thing unfolds, we find out now, you probably knew already, but there was a drone scrambled to take video of this site. How does that change things?
Well, at the end of the day, this was September the 11th, right? A day of heightened concern throughout the world. Name a place more vulnerable than Benghazi, Libya. For 7 hours plus, this consulate was attacked, and all we could do is send a drone over to take photos. There was no ground forces available to get there within 7 hours on September the 11th, and there was no air power available. I find that stunning and disappointing. You could see this coming from a mile away. The place had been deteriorating for months, and is just another failure in a series of failures.
Now, Senator, right now you are down there in Boca, the site of tonight's foreign policy debate between Mitt Romney and Barack Obama. At some point tonight, Mitt Romney, regarding Libya, at some point Mitt Romney should turn toward the president and say what about it?
Did you know?
I'm going to cut that off right there. Obviously, I got the date wrong on that one. It wasn't November 1st today, as the video indicated. Otherwise, there would be a debate tonight. But no, that doesn't change the facts of the case. There's a lot more than
thank you, because I was a little bit mentally twisted by that, but okay.
There are a lot more than reports of just a drone being, flying over to take pictures. There's a lot of questions here, and
there's
a lot of reports.
One of the things in the small office next to the studio here that we've got, it's a couple of desks and a phone, and I put the source on the speakerphone because, I needed both hands to write, and write quickly, because, the information, you've got to get this right. People have got to get this right. And, okay, why is Benghazi such a big deal? Now, I guess people haven't gotten that concept yet, why it's a big deal.
Well, it is a huge deal for a number of reasons. One, we'll just state the most obvious reason here, the killing of the 4 Americans. No help was sent in. This was as you heard, Lindsey Graham might have been the only truthful thing he's ever said on TV. The gunfight was 7+ hours. There were calls for more security months before, weeks before, days before, and hours before. There was emails sent saying that they were being watched on the day of the attack.
Excuse me. Yeah,
there was not adequate security for what they were doing, even though it was a CIA operation, not a embassy or a consulate, as they're reporting. But there's a lot of questions that need asked. One thing that needs to be asked, Obama said in a speech or in when he was asked by a reporter, what do you say to people who say that you didn't do everything you could? And he said, what did he say? We ordered all the help we could, or we ordered all the support we could for the people there.
Well, okay. Now here's what we're getting from Obama and even from politicians, some on both sides of the aisle. Once again, and if you go to HomelandSecurityUS.com, the 2 recent articles today, I posted today, both one taking to task some erroneous theories that get used as tools of the opposition, and second, the certain questions concerning this whole matter and why it's important. For example, getting into it, but we've abandoned America's honor by abandoning the 4 people and the others in Benghazi. And the Benghazi is an exhibit, I suppose, of our foreign policy, the foreign policy that is being driven by Obama. If you want a window, I believe, now this is my belief, if you want a window into the architecture of this one world, new world order agenda, how the chess pieces are being lined up, look at Benghazi. There you will find your real answers to what Obama is doing if not as a dog off a leash, but as a tool of the Council on Foreign Relations and the other groups that influence global operations. This is you have a front row seat right now, and that's my belief based on everything I've learned. But what you're getting out of this administration are well parsed, very carefully parsed answers that are so elusive, carefully crafted to be elusive. Nobody can pin down Obama on this. And talking with my source, he's right. You know, I got to tell you this. Regardless, short of, you know, something incredible coming out, it's not going to matter for as far as the elections are concerned. But let's look at the bigger aspect, getting to the truth, because the truth is going to be sustained beyond any election. The truth is going to be sustained well into the future. The truth holds into the future. But here is the important aspects that I'll share today. Okay. Yes, obviously there were drones available. In fact, one, and yes, when I say we, America had time to dispatch assistance to Benghazi. Let's just, the facts will come out that that's the case. But here, I'm going to give you 5 questions, 5 larger questions, of which I'll be writing about, that really need to be answered right now. That transcend, that go beyond the initial question that everyone's focusing on right now: could assistance be made?
And when you're done with that, we got the caller from New York.
Okay. I'll be quick, but please pay attention, folks, to this, because these are not really my words. Well, they are my words, but they're actually coming from someone who's actually knows what the deal is. First of all, has the FBI interviewed the Turkish Consul General as to what that meeting was all about? Remember, Stevens met with the Turkish Consul General an hour later, if that, and reports are a little bit sketchy in terms of the time. There's a couple of different dueling reports about time. Just imagine this. Okay, let me just kind of give you a mental picture of this. The Turkish Consul General meeting with Stevens, saying, okay, geez, you know what, Turkey, well, we put our you know what on the line here. We're saying, okay, you can use Turkey as a staging ground for this weapons transfer, including chemical weapons. Whoops! Wait a minute. Russia perhaps caught us. They have pictures, surveillance photographs, images of us being a part of this your gun running operation. Holy cow! As a matter of fact, look, Stevens, look. They've got photographs. They've got look. There's people loading up chemical weapons inside the Turkish border. We can't be a part of this. Is this what's going on? Well, of course he knew what's going on, but we can't be part of it. Bang. And at the time that the Turkish Consul General, and think about this, like a Godfather movie or like a mob movie, I don't know, Sopranos or something, but whatever's out there. Think of it this way: the Turkish general knows, hey, that this game is done. The jig is up. It's done. Because, hey, after all, 5 days earlier, big shipment of arms, made it to Syria, I believe. It escapes me here. But anyway, big shipment. The arms traffic was pretty much already done. Turkey's like feeling the heat from Russia at this point. So at the time this meeting was taking place, the assets, the attack team, if you will, the mob guys are setting up, cutting off, blocking the streets and getting in position, because they know this Turkish general is going to leave and Stevens is going to be exposed. And there are other issues here too. The one guy within the compound goes to get phone cards, which, look, there's all kinds of weird coincidences, right? It's all a coincidence. Yeah, hey, look, before the hit, hey, Guido, I'm going to go out. Excuse me, I'm going to go out I'm going to go out back here, and suddenly, bam, you're exposed, right? Well, that could very well be. Is this what happened? Has the Turkish Consul General been interviewed by the FBI? The short answer is no, not that we know of. The second thing, obviously, after that meeting, Stevens had to create some sort of like a short memo, a couple of paragraphs, right, to send a cable to communications, to send to the State Department or D.C. Why not release a copy of that last communication? We got to find out what's in that. Where's the video and audio from the annex? Who's got that? When we finally see it, is that going to be edited? Is that going to be whatever? The fourth question. This deals with the people the two men that were stopped in Turkey. Why? By all means, the big question is here: why weren't they stopped, knowing with all this facial recognition capabilities of the United States, knowing with this, if in fact a surveillance drone was over Benghazi, and we know that to be true, or if we know that surveillance was out there, that there was video and audio of this attack, they had video of the attackers. And two of these attackers, they were identified by video, by facial recognition, the very facial recognition that's being used on us here domestically. Well, they had the identity. Why were they allowed to leave Libya? Why were they stopped in Turkey? And they were stopped almost by accident because of a weird passport and an odd language or odd dialect. Well, why were they held? Why were they not held there? If Turkey is such a friend of ours, why were they allowed to leave Turkey and go to Tunisia, where they now cannot be? They're not being. They're not subject to, or they're segregated from any possible or any type of law enforcement or intelligence questioning. Well, Turkey is part of Interpol. It's a NATO country, so Interpol certainly applies. Why were they allowed to go to Tunisia? Why didn't Obama get on the phone to Turkey and say, look, you hold them there. We're going to find out the truth. We really want the truth. We're going to find out the truth, so you hold them there. No, that didn't happen. So that question has to be raised. So essentially what I just gave you were about 5 questions, and I'm going to be a little bit more coherent with that in writing, but expect that in the next 24 hours. But those are the big questions that do parlay off the audio that you just heard.
All right,
Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Go to the caller from New York. Let's see. I think his name is... I don't see him in the queue anymore.
Did we lose him? I apologize for my long-windedness, but I got to tell you, this is so important. I know that New York's important, but this is so important.
Yeah, I see him come back. I'll answer the call.
Let's do it right away then.
Could have lost service. Who knows?
And that happened to me twice when I was talking to the store owner in Brooklyn, who did, by the way, all the perishables went out to the people that needed it, and thankfully that's according to the information I have been receiving, that's been happening more. That happened more than is being reported, and that goes back to making Obama the Messiah, isn't it? Hey, look, we're gonna bring this money to you. We're gonna bring the aid to you. It's actually your money that's helping these people, not Obama. And Obama's not worthy of the Messiah status. This deification that's going on, he's not worthy of it.
And this article here, I'm gonna take a couple steps back. Homeland Security worker charged with soliciting kids on Facebook. A 43-year-old Department of Homeland Security worker allegedly used Facebook to solicit more than 70 area children for sexual acts, according to authorities. Loudoun County resident was charged October 24th with 5 counts of using a computer to solicit a child under the age of 15 after a school resource officer was tipped off to the suspicious activity on Mercer Middle School students' Facebook page.
Hey, that's like Scott Ritter. Remember Scott Ritter from the Iraq WMD fame? Scott Ritter, that guy that lived in Colony, New York, or lives in Colony, New York. Scott, I hope you're listening. If not, I hope someone sends you this audio. Scott Ritter, the pervert that was caught in Burger King in Colony, New York. In fact, when I was on Pat Campbell's show, Pat Campbell had, when he was on in Steubenville, Ohio, interviewed Scott Ritter, and I was able to call Scott Ritter and ask him the question, well, gee whiz, what's the deal with that, Scott? Why are you out soliciting young girls, Scott, being married? Man, see, the perversity, the perversion that is so inherent in these people.
To prey on innocent children, to prey on people that shouldn't be exposed to this kind of stuff in the first place.
By the way, I didn't think he answered that question. He had a fire drill, or he was a volunteer fireman. I think he had to leave.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Yesterday we talked about the report of a judge having to decide whether a woman should have a forced abortion and sterilization in America. That was toward the end of the show, and that made me really upset reading that article.
And I got some emails about that too, about the forced sterilization process, and some things I really can't. I haven't had a chance really to get into, but I want to thank Sandra, and others that have sent me this information.
I mean, it's just absolutely sick. This is exactly what Nazi Germany did. You know, they called it what was it, mercy killings, basically, saying that they had the right to sterilize people who did not fit in their, society of the perfect man or woman, and they killed hundreds of thousands of children and, disabled people. That's what they did, along with, the rest of the people that they killed, and the Jews and the Soviets and all the others, the Polish. It's just absolutely sick. But, it starts with allowing abortion into law. Then, it's the slow creeping steps that continue to go and go and go. And now we see where we're at. There's no limit to anything anymore. Everything is in turmoil. Our political system, our economic system, our social morality, our churches are, it's just completely, absolutely in waste. And there will never, in my opinion, be a revival on a nation scale. It will only be as individuals decide to change our life and turn it over to Jesus. And besides that hope, what other hope do we really have? We have to look at what is going on all around us right now, as now feels to me like that, it's more intense. Things are happening very quickly. There is very evil and dark forces behind the politicians, the banking cabal that is moving us in that direction. And we are, as a majority of society, playing right into their hands and, going down that road. And, wide is the gate that leads to hell, narrow is the way that leads to heaven. Which way are you going to go?
Good point. Yeah. I received something from Sarge, a listener. I want to thank you. As we see more and more with the flood, and this is a window to what's coming, Staten Island. What's coming all across the nation. Let this be a lesson. Okay, let's learn. The people listening to this broadcast, let's learn from this. And I'm not trying to capitalize on other people's mistakes, but what we need to do, or other people's misery, what we need to do is we need to learn when it's available, to learn what not to do and what to expect, and let's be educated from what's going on here. Right now, there's ABC News is reporting. We need food, we need clothing. Staten Island residents plead for help 3 days after Sandy, and it states that the residents of Staten Island are pleading for help from elected officials, begging for gasoline, begging for food, begging for clothing. 3 days after Sandy slammed into New York. All right, we're going to die. We're going to freeze. We've got 90-year-old people. This according to Donna Soli. Visiting officials told visiting officials. Okay, here we go, back with that Judas all hail Caesar type mentality. You don't understand. You're going to get your trucks. You got to get your trucks down here on the corner now. It's been 3 days. It's been 3 days. Well, Staten Island, of course, was one of the hardest hit communities in New York City, and right now, 80,000 people are still without power. And quite a few of these people are homeless, and 19 people died alone on Staten Island. 19? Are we getting this? I'm not sure. But there was an update in death count today. I think I want to say 54 or 74. See, I was getting that yesterday.
Yeah,
those numbers yesterday. There's accounts that'll break your heart out there. Really. Okay, two Staten Island brothers, just 2 and 4 years old. They were found swept out of their mother's arms, or they were swept out of their mother's arms when waves caused by storm surge crashed into their family's SUV. Yeah, well, their bodies were found today at the end of a dead-end street. Their parents were at the scene where the bodies were discovered. Now, imagine that, folks. Okay, imagine that. You think you've got problems today. You think that you've got an aching back or boy, my foot hurts or whatever. Man, look how quickly your lives can change in a heartbeat, in a flash, in a blink of an eye. This is one wave, one day, one location. But what got me was this: the Staten Island officials sounded just increasingly desperate today. They were asking, when are supplies going to arrive? They blasted the Red Cross for not being there when it counted. One said, look, this is America, not some third world nation. We need food. We need clothing. These are the words of Staten Island Borough President Jim Molinaro. Jim, let me get that name right. Jim Molinaro. Staten Island Borough President Jim Molinaro. Yeah, this is America, not a third world nation. My advice to the people of Staten Island is, don't donate to the American Red Cross. Don't do it. Don't do it. Put your money elsewhere. Well, look, the Red Cross and National Guard arrived in the area Tuesday. They're distributing food, water, and gas, but the people out there, the mayors, the borough people, some of the politicians, they've got to have ceremony. They've got to have ceremony instead of just getting it done. The hell with ceremony. Let's get it done.
Yeah. I mean, we saw Obama come and go to the New York area or fly over the New Jersey area. Everybody was happy, and you have people that are still in need. Not that Obama can in itself, fix the problem.
Yes.
But
and by the way, I'm familiar with Midland Avenue. There's looting taking place on Midland Avenue, and of course, there's a mob scene. Go ahead.
Jim Cantori. Let me see if I can find here. Jim Cantori said this. Something about he tweeted this, I guess, something about the hurricane alert warnings were not put in effect by Bloomberg quick enough. I mean, that shouldn't in itself be reason for people not to be prepared. If you didn't hear about this, you obviously...
Say that again?
Jim Cantori, I don't have the tweet that was sent to me. I erased it or got rid of it, but he said that one of the reasons for such poor response time and lack of preparations was the lack of hurricane warnings put in place in New York. And they did wait. Bloomberg wasn't going to shut down the subway system until the governor came in and overrid him on the decision and said, yes, they will be shut down.
Or overrode, depending on
whatever.
Yeah, okay.
I think the same thing happened with the warnings. Those were not issued until that time either.
Well, okay, now we come to a point, ladies and gentlemen. Are we going to take, at which point, at what time in our lives do we take responsibility, a certain level of responsibility with respect to the things that we can control? I mean, look, I understand people who don't have money, who don't have the physical capabilities, who don't have anybody to rely on, any family, any alternative places. And my God, that would be a tremendously bad situation to be in. I understand that, and I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that have been so fixated on this, on their own little, big screen TVs and
we
around the world.
We have a caller back from New York.
All right,
I think.
Let's do it.
I think this is Ben from 917. Ben, are you there?
Yes. Hi.
Hey, welcome to the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Where in New York are you located?
I'm located in Brooklyn, New York.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what's going on over there.
Right now in Brooklyn, there's parts of Brooklyn that don't have electricity, lots of trees down, a lot of stores still closed, gas out of the question. Even if, let's say, I'd say there's about 3 gas stations open and about a 15 to 20 mile radius. The lines are horrendous, 3 to 4 hour wait.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
How are you? Were you prepared for this storm with food and water?
Actually, yes, I did have gas. I had some food, but in my neighborhood it didn't hit so badly. So we had electricity through the whole time.
Okay.
So it wasn't that bad. But I have friends all over that it's very bad.
Have you seen any looting, any violence take place?
Actually, not in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn, there wasn't actually. But I heard and I tweeted that in Staten Island there was a lot of them, and they were like the second night after the hurricane, they arrested about 16 people. NYPD reported that they arrested about 16 people for looting.
Okay.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, Brooklyn...
People taking advantage of a disaster.
No, exactly. Look, I know Brooklyn. Some neighborhoods they're really tight. You know, the neighbors are you interact. But is that where you're at? I mean, is there some level of camaraderie? Some hey, let's kind of help each other out, or is there a more isolation?
Every man for themselves.
Yeah, on the flip side, what's that about?
No. Just the opposite. In my neighborhood, we have all these private organizations, these voluntary organizations. They were busy throughout the night helping people. First responders, Sala, Shamrim Patrol. There's all these people that are just like, they put their lives on the line. Seriously, they were the first out of gas because they were up all night helping other people. They did an excellent job. The FDNY thanked them. The NYPD thanked them for their excellent work. They're like a private organization, voluntary people, and they were up all night. Whichever tree was down, they cut it themselves, put it aside, except those huge ones that are still down. The city didn't take care yet. Or if there was any EMS call or anything, it's a private organization that is very well equipped. And whatever, they respond very quickly. Within minutes, they were able to take care of those patients.
Well, what do you make of the situation now? I mean, what lessons personally did you get from this? Because now you're relatively better off than most, although you're at ground zero to some extent. But what do you see with what you see taking place? What lessons can we derive from this?
What lessons? I mean, definitely for next time, everyone should listen whatever they say. If they made if it's what's it called? The Mayor Bloomberg, he said whatever he designated those zone A's that they should evacuate.
Right.
Next time, all those people should listen and investigate. There were terrible disasters, and people are still stranded over there.
Yeah.
All these things came because they didn't listen. All these people thought they'll be heroes. I mean, not at such a time. Such a time you have to listen and do what you're told.
So do you think there was adequate warnings? Was there adequate warnings in New York given to people?
Yes, I heard you saying before that Mike Bloomberg he didn't tell the community, not the community the New York early enough. I actually do think he did. I listened to all of his conferences, whatever. I listened to all of them. Some of them I saw live. Actually, I did. I was impressed because last year from the terrible snowstorm, I think it was 2 years ago actually. Then he didn't do anything. He was like in his basement, hiding from someone, hiding from all the people. This time he made it clear multiple times. Zone A should evacuate. He should fill up gas. He should stock up the fridges and freezers. He gave a lot of safety tips. I mean, he was pretty ahead of the game.
Okay.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, my goodness.
I just remember receiving, emails 2 days before the storm was hitting that he wasn't closing the subways and doing certain things. But if people out there were getting the word that they should, be prepping and getting ready for this, then that's good.
2 days before, he definitely did give such a conference. I don't know. I don't know if the appropriate time is a week before, but 2 days before the storm, he definitely did tell for the people, leave, listen, and leave. And he did an excellent job on Twitter because Twitter is the major thing today. It's the in thing. And he was tweeting like crazy. I don't know if it's his, if it's an administration, whoever it is, doing an excellent job. NYC Mayor's office was doing an excellent job.
Okay.
Well, they were notifying every possible way.
Okay.
No, did you? I've got to ask this. Did you make any personal preparations in advance of this? After the announcements were made, did you make any? Did you top off your gas tank if you have a vehicle, or did you buy some extra food or whatever?
I did fill up for gas, but not enough. But I did actually go out of my way I'm sorry, there's being a storm. I want to prepare. But besides that, no, nothing, because I'm telling you, like, next time, if there's going to be something even close to this, the whole New York will be different, and New Jersey. It's the first time we had this. We didn't have Katrina. Katrina wasn't in New York. We never felt this. Once we felt it, we learned the lesson. It'll be totally different next time.
Okay.
I'm reading
interesting.
I'm reading somebody from Twitter right now. This is a live update on Breitbart from New York to New Jersey gas shortages. Somebody say fistfights and gas lines and police drawing guns on people to stop them. Only a couple of days into this, and civilization is rapidly breaking down. Another week of this, and it'll be full-on Thunderdome out here. Basically saying
that is true.
Okay.
That is not normal. I was at gas stations, and people were like, first of all, people are on the line for 3 hours. No jokes. 3 hours. So you can imagine if someone could come and cut them off, cut in the line, how angry they get. And we have that, the NYPD is all over by every gas station, but they can't cover everything. Lines are like miles, so they can't be on the complete way of the line. So people are fighting. Yes, NYPD got multiple calls of people fighting.
Wow.
There is a talk of another nor'easter about to make its way up in the Northeast. Not saying it's going to hit New York. They say it's going to travel. They think it's going to travel a little bit more northly into the New England area. I don't even want to entertain the possibility of something else happening in New York.
When is that expected?
Well, let me pull up this.
It's still article. Well, actually, I got it right here, and they're saying over the weekend, perhaps, but it's still iffy. You know, the storm's not well formed, and they're really just taking a shot in the dark. I think they're still stinging from Sandy, so they're gonna say this with an abundance of caution. You know, in the event that even if it's not going to be close, they're going to say this because they don't want to get caught off unawares.
Yeah, that's right. It's from Fox News. It's still far out. The forecasters say smaller nor'easter may hit East Coast late next week.
Late next week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah, well, you know.
By the way, can I say one more thing?
Yes, sure.
Whatever. I think he also did a very good job by canceling the Halloween party, the Halloween parade, first time in 39 years. But he's going ahead with the NYC Marathon on Sunday.
I saw that.
Which I think that he should cancel. I mean, it's the personal opinion because I'm in the city and I see what's going on. Police are busy with different things than usual. The people aren't in the mood of partying right now and marathons. You should first take care and clean up, get gas, food, back electricity, and then you'll have whatever you need. The Halloween parade and the NYC, the marathon. I don't think it's the time. Also, he did very good. President Obama wanted to come to New York, and he told them, don't. Now is not the time.
I totally agree with that.
I don't know why he's going ahead with that.
Now is not the time to be parading around and you know, look, stay the heck out of the way.
People are starving and fighting over, you know.
Get out of the way. If you're not carrying a whole bunch of supplies, get the heck out of the way. And if you're not prepared to work, you know, stand in knee-deep, shoulder-deep water, whatever, get out of the way. Let them do the work.
Right.
Caller, you've been very kind. We're up against the top of the hour. I want to say thank you very much for calling. In fact, we're late for the top of the hour break.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. We really appreciate this update.
And
my honor, my pleasure.
Well, Ben from Ground Zero, shall we say, in Brooklyn, New York. Interesting call. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann Report. It is November 1st, 2012. I'm Doug Hagmann. With me is Joe Hagmann. Joe Hagmann's on camera at Christians United Broadcasting Network. I am, of course, camera shy tonight. Stay with us for the third and final hour, which I will promise I will get to the Ulsterman DHS Insider update as well.
We're hitting a phone call first on the other side.
Okay.
And more news. We'll be back on this November 1st.
If you're stumped, you don't know what kind of gift to give to a friend or a loved one, I'm telling you, you must go to 4physics.com. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. This is your one-stop shopping palace. That's the only way I can put it. I could spend easily an hour on this website. Innovative, fun, educational. There are games, books, weather instruments, unique time-telling devices, jewelry, optical devices, laboratory equipment. Let me give you an example. We all know we can tell time with a sundial. You've seen those advertised. Did you know that you could tell time by the stars? At 4physics.com, you can buy a horologium nocturnum. This was a navigational device used in the 15th century by navigators at night to tell time by the stars. It's beautifully crafted in the shape of a pendant, made of bronze and pewter or gold and silver. Absolutely a stunning gift. I would be proud to give it to anyone. You must go to 4physics.com. Even if you're not stumped, that's 4physics. That's the numeral 4, PHYSICS.com. It's your one-stop shopping palace. Any problems that you have, I don't know what to get Grandpa, I don't know what to get my loved one, that's unique, you will find it at 4physics.com. Please take my word for it. Go to the website, but give yourself a lot of time because you're not going to want to leave. 4physics.com.
Folks, I got to tell you, did that voice sound familiar, by the way? How many people are old about to remember the A-Team? Well, that's Howling Mad Murdoch. And I got to tell you, we did a lot of, we did quite a bit of radio back about 3, 4 years, 5 years ago now, maybe. What a guy, an interesting guy, in person, and an interesting guy. I don't think he's that far off from actually his character. He's extremely intelligent. I had a blast with him. I got to tell you, he's just a heck of a guy. Again, Howling Mad Murdoch. But anyway, the reason I interrupted the program here is to tell you about MindRegard. Folks, go to mindregard.com. That's mindregard.com. I take nootropic Mind Power to supplement, or it's a supplement, dietary supplement. I take 2 capsules a day. It increases my cognitive function. It provides blood flow to the brain. Sometimes, we need that. At any rate, this stuff is really great stuff. I don't endorse or sponsor anything that I personally don't use or believe in, but this is something I can tell you it works. It's called Nootropic Mind Power at mindregard.com. That's mindregard.com. Mention the Hagmann and Hagmann Report and get 10% off.
Doug Hagmann. One guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And welcome back to hour number 3 of the Hagmann and Hagmann Report this Thursday, November 1st, 2012. As time flies by.
How many days till Christmas? How many days? We're going to be getting into that. And that caller about the marathon and stuff. Look, can we be really serious here? School's going to be open on Monday and all this. No, I don't think so. It's it's a nice. Let's strive for that, but. The reality is, Long Island Power Association is, oh boy, people are so angry at them, and perhaps rightfully so in that case. But there's this desire to appear, to get to that appearance of normalcy. But let me just say this, folks: did you hear about Bette Midler's Halloween party?
I heard there was a lavish Halloween
lavish,
party.
Right. Deborah Messing from, what's that show that? Queer, homosexual. Sorry,
I don't know.
Will and Grace. Okay, she was there, and Bette Midler. Wow, I just swallowed my coffee wrong. So now what are these are the very people who are crying for the 1%. My goodness, look at the 1%. Yet Yeah. And fittingly, the step we're missing was dressed as Marie Antoinette. What kind of a message? I mean, how good is that?
Some of the news we're going to get into the third hour. U.S. to focus exclusively on arming Al-Qaeda in Syria. Also, DHS takeover of newly released DHS manual reveals advanced surveillance and tactical network. We're going to go to caller area code 423. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey guys, it's Carrie in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. I got lost in your city one time. 1978. You got some scary parts in Chattanooga. But that's okay.
Well, like all cities, I guess we do, but you should come back someday because they've cleaned it up, and it's actually quite a beautiful city now. I'm calling to hopefully shed a little insight on the days to come in New York and New Jersey. And the reason why I wanted to call and share this is when Katrina happened, well, let me back that up a little bit. I'm one of those people where if something like this happens, if I don't do something, I don't feel right. I don't sleep well. I get very involved emotionally and spiritually, et cetera, et cetera. Katrina hit on August 29th, which was in the early morning hours of Monday, August 29th. And our local talk radio show, a man called in and said, listen, I've got teenage boys in New Orleans. I can't get a hold of them. I've got a large pickup truck. I'm going tonight. If anybody wants to fill it, I'll take whatever, water, whatever, and go. So I wrote his phone number down. I waited till I got off work, and I called. I said, have you got a truckload? And he said, ma'am, you're the first one that's called me.
Wow.
I said, oh, my gosh. When are you leaving? He said, whenever I get this truck full. So I called. The first thing that I thought of was a Dollar General Market near my house, and I didn't know them or anything, and I said, can you let me stand out in front of there and get donations for water to go to New Orleans? He's like, sure. We filled that pickup truck by midnight, Monday night. He left, got to New Orleans from here. I think it was like 4 or 5 in the morning. And literally, just had all sorts of trouble getting the water in, but he got the water in. And that was early Tuesday, the day after it hit. He came back, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. He called me. He said, we got it there. I said, listen, I've already got somebody donated a box truck. We're going to sit out front this weekend and fill the box truck, this time with food, diapers, donations, money, whatever we can fill that truck in. Will you drive back? He said, absolutely. All right, so that truck left. And I'm not saying any of this to toot my horn. It's just something that we got out and did because real people can do real things when government has to sit on their thumbs and sign paperwork. And when he took the box truck down, he was met with a lot of resistance with military, with police, with FEMA officials. And he said, you know what, heck with you, I'm taking the back roads, because he knew the roads down there, and he just drove through wherever he could and opened the truck and gave people what they needed and went to the next area. All right.
How great is that? That's great. By the way,
it was amazing.
Don't rely on government. Get them out of the way so the people at the ground level like you can actually help people. Go on, I didn't mean to.
Exactly. And here's what's coming. When they evacuated people, and this was maybe a week, I would say about a week after Katrina hit, we learned that they had evacuated a lot of people here to Chattanooga, as well as many other areas. So I went down to one of the shelters that they had set up at one of the recreation departments. And just kind of casually started talking to people. They were sitting outside, and I kind of made a friendship with a couple of the men there. And I called my husband. I said, look, I found a couple of guys. They're stuck here with nothing to do. So we prayed about it, and we went back and got them the next day. And for about 3 weeks, they were here. We'd pick them up, take them to the movies, take them to play pool, take them ball game, just various things, have them over. We had a big yard sale, sold a bunch of stuff, gave them the money. But in doing that, I found out a lot of information about what really happens down there. Now, I want to take everybody back to the newsreels, the news reports from Katrina. Does everybody remember when all those people were up on that overpass, holding up their babies and screaming and saying, we're dying from thirst? Do y'all remember that?
Mm-hmm. Very well, yes. Very well.
Okay, let me tell you what really happened. And I know this for a fact. I got it from both these guys. There were pallets upon pallets upon pallets of water right off the freeway there with armed guards not letting people have the water because the right paperwork hadn't been signed.
Yeah.
Now, if you can hear the fury in my voice, it's because I about went mad when I realized that myself, my teenage daughter, and a perfect stranger got a truckload of water the next day to some people. And by the weekend, a truckload of stuff. And yet here, this was 2 weeks after the event, and they still hadn't gotten bottled water from FEMA? Those people in New York and New Jersey better do for themselves right now, because I'll tell you what, when you heard President Obama say, we're not going to stand for any paperwork and, any red tape, that's what he was referring to. But I assure you, they won't be there to help for a couple more weeks. And like you said just a minute ago, Doug, till they get their upper echelon all taken care of, they don't give a hoot about these other people. And it's a scary thing, and it breaks my heart. It saddens me that I can't get up there to go help right now. It's just a little too far for me, and it's just not what God has right now for me. But like the caller before me from New York, everybody better do for themselves. I guess, it just shines a little light on the cruelty of this kind of situation. And when they stand up there and bloat about how great they are, and Bloomberg's out there all talking about how great Obama is, and how they're out there doing it.
How presidential.
They're not doing squat.
Exactly. And I've got to tell you this, I have a family member who has a logistics company that and I really didn't want to disclose. Well, I'll just be careful what I say. But I was trying to work something out where something could be delivered to Long Island, and like you did, for example, and talking with the person in charge of logistics to that area, to Long Island, to the far eastern portion, the far east boroughs of Suffolk County, and what's the other county? That just escaped me.
Essex?
Suffolk, Nassau County. Thank you. They are essentially isolated right now, as is Staten Island. So, even if you wanted to, caller, to take water supplies out there, you likely would not get through.
That's right.
And this is because of FEMA. This is because of the politicians who are saying, "Hey, we're the saviors."
Right. And that's the part of it that you don't see. Yesterday Jim Cantore stood there doing his weather report, and, God bless him for what he does, and he said, I am giving a plea to Verizon right now. Please get us some calm out here. We're having trouble communicating. Do you think that's not on purpose? They don't want those people communicating, because then they'll organize, and then they'll help each other.
Yeah. In Katrina, there was the claim. There was the claim from police officers that FEMA cut their power lines.
Well, they actually did. Yeah. I mean, there's evidence to show that they actually cut the communications.
Yeah, and shooting people on the bridge for trying to leave, walk away.
Where on this earth is that even? Excuse me. What?
Right.
We don't live in America anymore.
I mean.
Well, I heard.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm just going to rant if I go.
It's okay. I heard a lot of horror stories from those two guys, and they ended up living up in Sweetwater, Tennessee, not too far from here, and we'd go out and visit them from time to time, and they got their FEMA checks, and one of them got a pretty good one, whatever recovery check that they gave them, and he ended up getting murdered and what they call rolled. He got rolled for his money because he was running around bragging that he got his check. So it ended up to be a real travesty, a real sad situation all the way around. But I wouldn't even repeat some of the horror stories. If people think that this whole thing, not only the storm, but the recovery is by design for sure, and the lack of recovery is certainly by design. And I just encourage any listeners in the storm area, if you're listening through battery power, because I know many of you don't have your power, stick together and get close to one another and find friends and, erase your differences, whatever it takes, and help one another and stay strong, stay positive. And Romans 15:13 says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him." Just trust God. That's all we can do for any of us right now in any of our battles and situations.
And that's a test of your faith. That's a test of people's faith. To trust at this time, you've got to trust. You've got to have that element. In addition to the earthly preparations, you've got to be spiritually in tune. And I couldn't have said that any better. God bless you, caller.
Amen.
God bless you.
God, thank you. All right, good night.
Thanks for your call. Wow, how great is that?
Yeah. Absolutely. Somebody willing to put their neck on the line to go help other people and doing the right thing. It's rare.
This is what this is all about. I mean, we can rant, rave, kick things, say, try to expose things, but really when it comes down to it, we've got to help. We've got to do what we can do. And sometimes, like I just said today, the logistics, getting something somewhere. Whoops, we can't do it. Well, all right, we can, but not that way. We'll find another way. We'll help.
Speaking of kicking and screaming, this might get your blood boiling.
Oh, I'm sure it will. Whatever
Susan
it is.
Kelly, author, CNN intelligence correspondent, Susan Kelly, intelligence official, offers new timeline for Benghazi attack. A senior U.S. intelligence official discounted a Fox News report last Friday that said officials within the CIA chain of command denied repeated requests from its officers on the ground to assist during the attack on the U.S. mission in Benghazi, Libya.
Well,
the official said,
let's keep massaging
the official insisted that the CIA operators on the ground were in charge of their movements, and the safety of those who were preparing to respond was also an important consideration. There were no orders to anybody to stand down in providing support, the official says. That might be true. Well, we want to see the orders that were given for support.
Well, it's not this difficult. That clip that we played, that Joe played with respect to the, we need more time. We need more time. We need more time. How much time do you need? Until you get it right? Until it conforms to, how much more time do you need? 4 Americans are dead. America's honor is at stake, and this is not a political situation.
This is the new timeline.
Oh, okay.
Around 9:40 p.m., the Annex receives their first call that the mission is under attack.
What time?
9:40.
Right, okay.
Fewer than 25 minutes later, a security team leaves the Annex for the mission.
Okay.
Over the next 25 minutes, the team members approach the compound, attempt to secure heavy weapons, and make their way into the compound in the face of enemy fire. At 11:11 p.m., the request drone surveillance arrives over the mission compound.
Okay.
So there was a request for drone surveillance.
Okay, so we got that. So that does comport with the information I've got that, look, at least three drones were in the vicinity or were able to be dispatched. And look, folks, I'll just say this. Is it confirmed? Well, pretty much by policy. One of those drones was a Predator drone that was actually conducting surveillance of a chemical weapons cache in the southern portion, way south of the compound, the CIA compound. So, but here's the rub. You can't use that, really. Why? Because we told Libya that we didn't have any armed drones over Libya.
Yeah, it goes on 11:30. All U.S. personnel, except for Ambassador Chris Stevens, who is missing, depart the mission. The exiting vehicles come under fire. Over the next 90 minutes, roughly, the Annex receives sporadic small arms fire and rocket-propelled grenade rounds. The security team returns fire, and the attackers disperse at approximately 1 a.m.
Okay. Here, and look, this is big. Okay, this is huge. This again,
I'll
you start.
to you.
Thank you. Geez, that's just what I need. I'll be up until 5 in the morning just going through this.
Yeah.
But here's what we really need to know. Okay, first of all, number one, the majority of the politicians out there are in a CYA mode. Now, this is my stuff. This is my stuff. From what I've been able to determine, they're all in a CYA mode. Obama is too. But what the Benghazi situation does, different than any other incident out there today, what makes this different, what makes this something that we need to really get to the bottom of, aside from the fact that 4 Americans are dead, aside from that fact, imagine if that was your son, your husband, your brother, your niece, nephew, just imagine that. Imagine if that hit home. Well, look, aside from that, we need to know, as soon as we start yanking on that little string, that piece of yarn, and we're going to unravel something that is so big that, look, these stories about kidnappings that are being attempted kidnapping so Obama looks good. Come on. Are you flipping serious? Really? Okay. That just, I understand why some people would gravitate to that, okay, because this is kind of a spy versus spy thing. Well, it's not that. It's even bigger. That sounds good. Boy, I can understand that. 2 seconds, I got it. I got the picture. Okay, well, no. You know what you got to do? You got to put on your big boy pants. Put on your adult cap. And understand there's bad things going on out there. There are really bad, ugly agendas at play here. There's global things going on here. You think that's a conspiracy theory? No. The conspiracy theory are these idiots out there insisting that it was some failed kidnapping operation so Obama could look good. That's the conspiracy theory. That's the wrong avenue.
Yeah, it is.
And okay, so okay, I've got somebody who's risking his life to give me information.
Yeah.
And wait a second, I'm not done with my rant. I got somebody risking his life to give me information, and I know what else that man's doing to the extent that I'm able to. So I mean, I'm not, but I know. Believe me, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only mouthpiece out there. You can shut me up. Go ahead. But there are others that will come after me.
Yeah.
And there are others that are out there. But this guy knows. He knows because he knows. And these other theories out there, these flowery situations, yes. And we're going to make Obama look bad. This isn't about politics. This is about this global thing going on, this global agenda going on. People talk about Agenda 21. Yeah, that's real. But so is the New World Order, the One World Order. But as soon as you mention that, they just, oh, man, come on. No, this is part of it. This is part of it, a big part of it. We were arming the people to go after Assad.
Yeah.
There was going to be a false flag with chemical weapons on the very people that we were helping.
U.S. looks to build alternative Syrian opposition leadership. This is from the Washington Post. The Obama administration has spent the past several months in a secret diplomatic negotiation aimed at building a new Syrian opposition leadership structure that it hopes can win the support of the minority group still backing President Assad. The strategy to be unveiled at a Syrian opposition meeting next week in Qatar amounts to a last-ditch effort to prevent extremists from gaining the upper hand within the opposition and to stop Syrian crisis from boiling over to the greater Middle East area. Now, a better look on this story. This is from the Intel Hub. They break down the story. U.S. to focus exclusively on arming Al-Qaeda in Syria. The Washington Post, in its recent article, U.S. looks to build alternative Syrian opposition leadership claims. The Obama administration has spent the past several months in the secret diplomatic meetings to aim the right minority groups. The strategy to be unveiled, just what I read, to arm the right people.
Okay,
the post
hang
also
on a second. I just want to mark this day and time right now. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I've got to mark this day and time. I was warned this is going to happen, or this could happen. I missed it. I cannot take a picture of this. I was going to do it, and it went right through me. Went right through. My email now has been compromised. As in real time,
right now
at 10:30. Yes. I just watched my outgoing and incoming mail servers being changed. I was chasing after that as we speak.
So this happened yesterday to
other people.
Yeah.
Okay. Understand this. I just watched it just now, and there's nothing I could do. I was chasing after the. So here's the deal, folks. This is a big story. Okay.
I came over to look for myself.
Let's see. Well, now it's gone. The whole process is gone. But my outgoing, incoming mail servers, it was essentially being redirected. Look, we've been warned. I've been warned. This is going to take place. Okay, that doesn't mean that if you send me an email, that doesn't mean that you're going to be in trouble or nothing like that. Don't worry about that. What they're looking for is specific information about what we're talking about, which segues into other things. But I just want to say this Benghazi thing is huge, and here are two pieces of information that are extremely relevant. Turkey is now changing their alliances. Okay, Turkey, a big friend of ours, NATO ally, they are now changing their alliances. They're in the process of, look, folks, Tehran Times, politics from October 27th, look at that. Look at the other indicators out there. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to write something about this, and you can read about it on HomelandSecurityUS.com. Go ahead, Joe.
I just wanted to ask you, if I heard right on the call earlier before the show, did I hear something about Putin going to visit Israel first?
Well, look, he was elected in May. Okay, Israel knows that Obama is going to throw them. Essentially, he was throwing Israel under the bus. He knows that. And by the way, I just want to say a big hello and thank you and a great shout out to Rick Wiles. Now, a great thumbs up to Rick Wiles, who does TrueNews.com. TrueNews.com. He's a great job in giving you 1 hour of information every day. I want to say thank you and hello to Rick Wiles. But yes, in fact, I think he might have mentioned this in one of his earlier shows. And I say earlier, several weeks ago, where Putin, he was elected in May, elected as president. Where did he go first?
That's what I was asking.
Right, Israel. Why? Well, because Israel knows, Netanyahu knows, hey, you know what? We're getting thrown under the bus by Obama. In this global architecture, this global structure that's being pursued by Obama, and perhaps might be, and that's the larger picture. Will this building of this global architecture be continued by Romney, or will it be maybe, or do we have more time there? Well, just by virtue of change of leadership, that's going to buy us logistical time. We hope, we think, but. Look, this is all part of this global one world order. So Putin went to Israel saying, hey, we know you're not really fond of Obama, and the fact that, Obama's nosing up to Turkey and getting cozy with all these and, wanting to destabilize Syria, and look what they did to Egypt, on and on. Well, this is all part of the bigger structure. This is all part of the bigger agenda. This is all part, if you look at this and get your heads out of the stupid kidnapping crap. I'm sorry to use that word, but get your heads out of that. I don't.
I'm out of the loop on the other sites, media, TV stations, and what they're reporting on this issue. Except I've seen a couple things on Fox reporting on the cables, but I haven't seen the other side of the reporting. So are they really playing up this kidnapping issue?
No, they are not. No, actually, this whole story, because of its toxicity toward the Republicans and Democrats, but the Democrats and progressives and the globalists, because of that toxicity to the global agenda, they're not touching this. They are not touching this. It's bigger than Obama. Obama is just the dog off the leash. And I wasn't going to swear. I was thinking of something else. The dog off the leash. The fence. He's still within the fence, but he's off the leash. See, that's the deal. No one wants to touch it. No, the people perpetuating the kidnapping story are people that just constantly post and post and post and post, and then what happens is you've got the director of national, well, not the from the director of national intelligence, the workhorses taking stories like this and perpetuating them. Why? Well, to take the people's eyes off the real deal. That's the problem. See, that's it. Because the parallel, my article on HomelandSecurityUS.com about the tools of the opposition. You've got to understand that, please. There's a lot I didn't write because I want to just make it a couple of paragraphs so people can just see what's going on here. If you ever, any law enforcement officer, any federal agent out there who's ever done any investigations of any criminal activity, one of the biggest things to poison the well, especially in the public purview, throw out some parallel stories, throw out some parallel explanations. Wow, how quickly they pick up, how rapidly they engage. Oh, it's not good. It's not good. So this is a deliberate, a very deliberate disinformation campaign on multiple levels. Multiple levels. Understand that.
I'll continue with this on the U.S. to focus exclusively on arming Syrian rebels. The Post also indicates that the de facto administrative zones are being set up along the Turkish-Syrian border with non-lethal assistance provided by the U.S., France, and other like-minded governments. The so-called Syrian Nation Council is being discarded as it is wholly seen as illegitimate both by Syrian and the world at large.
Well,
there's an image here. Will the West New Resistance Front in Syria officially include Libyan Mahdi al-Hartari of the U.S. State Department, United Nations, and the UK Home Office?
Okay, now that guy is
Libyan Islamic Fighting Group.
He figures prominently into this. Now, when we start getting into this, the actual, you start talking about the people, the groups, for example, the February 17th Brigades and the Ansar al-Sunna and the Sunnis versus Shiites, and when you start getting at that level, man, that gets really. Obviously, we can do it, but is it going to be beneficial for today? No, it's not. I mean, that'll come out. We can document that. But yes, that guy is intrinsic to the story. But go ahead.
Goes on to say it is clear that both the West's political proxies and its armed militant proxies have been compromised, and the narrative that tentatively worked against Libya is now unraveling and failing against Syria. One can only hope, While the U.S. attempts to portray this latest move as an attempt to prevent extremism elements from gaining the upper hand within the opposition, it must be remembered that as early as 2007, U.S. officials had admitted their efforts to overthrow the governments of Syria and Iran would include primarily U.S., Israeli, and Saudi armed extremists drawn from the Arab world and sent into Syria to create the very sectarian bloodbath now unfolding. Rhetoric of freedom and democracy serve merely as a cover within which foreign military aggression is couched. And that is fairly accurate, the last sentence there. They do under the name of freedom. They do under the name of false genocides, false human rights agendas, and democracy claim to be doing these things. But in reality, they're doing the opposite. They are overthrowing all but peaceful governments.
Look,
by arming al-Qaeda extremists who fought against the United States in the Iraq War. It's documented.
But we've done this throughout history in a number of different ways and such, but never before have we exported this Muslim Brotherhood. Never before have we. Look, here's an easy way to think of this, and perhaps oversimplistic, but folks, you understand this. The people listening to this, you guys are cut above the rest. We're doing this the handiwork of the Saudis. If you understand nothing else, understand this. We are doing the handiwork of the Saudis. Mm-hmm. We're doing their heavy lifting. Look who's paying. Who paid for the gas in the boat that took the weapons from Benghazi to Syria? Follow the money. Where'd it come from? Saudi Arabia. What's this whole thing all about? Well, in the end, it's for all the marbles, because this is the final construction, the chess pieces in order, the death race to Damascus, and that listener who gave me that title, thank you. This is for all the marbles. But make no mistake, Obama is doing the heavy lifting, and this is an agenda directly from Saudi Arabia. That's where it traces to.
I'm going to go back to this article from October 24th. Russia. Syrian rebels have U.S.-made weapons. Talking about Al-Qaeda here. As the weapon supplies, we have reliable information that Syria militants have foreign portable anti-aircraft missile systems, including those made in the USA. It should be clear who delivered them.
Gee, let's follow the trail on that one.
Yeah.
Inspector Clouseau.
Yeah, this stuff's real.
This is why we can't. Okay, you think Chris Matthews is going to go out and talk about this? No.
And then, look, this goes back in this article. U.S.-made Stinger missiles are shoulder-mounted anti-aircraft weapons designed to target low-flying airplanes and helicopters. A U.S. decision to supply them to the Mujahideen in Afghanistan in the 1980s to fight the Russians proved to be the turning point for the war. Well, remember that? That's when we gave the weapons to Osama bin Laden.
Well,
that's when Zbigniew Brzezinski.
And let me just be on record by saying this, okay? Because now we're getting back into the Carter-Reagan years, and
same foreign policy people behind it.
Stop for a second. Don't laugh. I mean, do not laugh at me.
I'm not laughing at you.
Okay,
I'm laughing
I
at
will
that
throw
quick,
something.
That quick shutdown there. You just threw.
No, I'm not shutting you down. But you have to understand this. There is a huge difference, and I mean a huge difference, between Ronald Reagan and anybody today. Barack Obama, for example. Or Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama. This is not Carter versus Reagan. Not even close. And I get emails all the time. Well, this is another Carter versus Reagan stuff, you know. Okay, come on. No, it's not. This is
no, it's not. It's the same situation.
And no. Okay, yes, there are certain similarities, but to take that to the extent, and I'm not trying to cover anyone's butt. I'm not making excuses for anybody, but there's a huge difference, because one was kind of a microcosm situation to fight communism. Yeah, I know you're going to say, no, come on, Doug, you're being naive and you're being No, I'm not. Just understand what was going on there. There were certain things that have not been made public about, that I don't even know, of course, and I wouldn't know, but certain things that made public that I wouldn't even want to say, because I'm not even sure where some of this information, if it's open source or not. But look, there's a huge difference. Just understand that. We are doing the bidding for Saudi Arabia, period. And knowing that, how do you look at the situation now?
And we've been doing the bidding for Saudi Arabia.
Yes, but never. Okay.
This public, this open, and
yeah, but think.
And
okay, this
what's
isn't
the worst
just
part?
Syria. I mean, it is, but it's not.
90% of the population couldn't even understand this if it was told to them, given to them, and laid out.
But wait, kidnapping. Oh, I got that. Yeah, because I watch TV. I understand that. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know. You're right. Joe, you're right. But again, it's really deep. But man, I'll tell you something. Let's get to really quick. I gotta get to the DHS guy.
Okay, I want to hit this real quick because I found an article: 27 cadets injured in a brawl at U.S. Air Force Academy. Now, this was sent to me by Angie this morning on the RSOE map. It was a non-categorized event in the USA, and it reads like this. More than 24 cadets were injured when they participated in an unauthorized, unofficial ritual at the Air Force Academy.
Yeah.
It's known as the first shift, first snow, or first shirt, first snow. And the school said Wednesday that the ruckus happened Thursday, October 25th. The practice occurs after the first snow of the season, when freshman cadets try to throw their cadet first sergeant in the snow. But listen to this. The incident revealed 27 cadets sustained injuries. 6 of those cadets were taken to a local hospital and have since been released. An internal email says the injury included cuts, concussions, and a human bite mark. 21 cadets were treated at the cadet clinic on the grounds of the Air Force Academy. Now, there is an article.
Yeah, I have to laugh. I got to say this
from the Military Times.
When I was a first responder back, in the late 70s, I did. I only saw one occasion where somebody there was a human bite mark on a person. Okay, and that raises a whole host of questions. But go on with your article, because I'm sure that does play into things.
The Army Times said this ritual has devolved to become increasingly violent, with significant numbers of cadets requiring medical care over the past 2 years. They keep calling it a ritual.
Well, okay.
They say it's not hazing.
Not hazing, but it's
a ritual.
It's a ritual, right? Yeah,
I mean, what's going on? These are the people that are in our military. These are the people that are. I mean, they're doing this to the cadets.
Don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, Jay Leno gave a good joke on that yesterday, bringing back, don't ask, don't tell on Benghazi. But yeah, I mean, this is a problem. I mean, this is why this stuff happens in the police departments with over-aggressive cops. This is why we have a civilization now, of a society of these people who will kill and have no feeling for it because they're doing it via drone, they're going through rituals here. It's just so corrupt and demonic and evil everywhere. Every aspect of society, our army, our police, our military, our economics, our politics, everything, even our churches, filled with evil.
I understand that. I do. And this is something that I personally, and I think both of us, want to follow up on.
Yeah.
We have to get the true story. I just received a kind of a troubling email, and listeners, maybe you can help me. Really, look, I'm going to ask the listeners in this case to help. Man, I don't know. I'm not even sure I know what to write back. I'm just going to call him by his first name, Harold. He says, "Hi, Doug. I listened to the Seven Eagles Vision 3 times. Remember last night, and may do it again. You said there were people who thought God forgot about. Let me see here. How does he write this? You said there were people who thought God I think he meant to say forgot about them, or that he was going to take God, who thought God forgot about that he's going to take care of, ? I'm not sure what that means.
You just confused me.
Yeah, okay. But he says, dude, that version is wrong, or that vision is wrong. And here's where the relevant part. I've cried out to God for 25 years for a wife and got nothing. I've cried out for years for justice in my case and have been ignored. God cursed me before I was born with a curse so strong even he can't fix it. In light of all the bleep that's going down and about to go down, I'd gladly give my soul to Satan to spend eternity in hell if I could just see my countrymen get justice, because I know that for all of God's eternity, I'll never get it. No wife, no kids, no desired career, no justice, ever. The best I can seem to hope for is at least to get to watch others get the desires of their heart. God doesn't have the guts to give me mine, or the heart. Hey, but I appreciate the work you do." And signed, Harold.
That's sad.
Okay.
That anybody would feel abandoned by the Lord, because just because you didn't get the answers you wanted doesn't mean that you were abandoned.
Well, I'm going to tap in. I know one thing. I'm going to tap into our spiritual advisor. One spiritual advisor, Pastor Paul Begley, but another spiritual advisor. You know who you are. I don't have to tell you. Can you help me out on this one? I know look. I know I've been relying on you a lot lately, and you've been helping me lately, helping us, the program, people. God bless you. But give me a hand on this one. All right. Wow. I just had to read that because that, wow. Okay. Real quick, and then before the end of the show, we got about 7 minutes. I just want to say this. Folks, if you go on Ulsterman, or if you know about Ulsterman, the Ulsterman Insider, here's the deal. According to the Wall Street Insider, or WSI, what is that? Wall Street Insider. Sometimes referred to by the White House insider as the old man. Valerie Jarrett, quote, "After we win this election, it's our turn, payback time," end quote. Well, openly declared as Obama's brain, Valerie Jarrett, figures prominently in the story. I'm just going to give you the summary version here. I think the crux of the story is this. Number one, the Obama people believe that they will be in power following November 6th. And number two, as they continue in power, they are going to pay back the entirety of their opposition. That's the long and short of this. Okay, now according to my DHS source, and here's the deal with this, with my DHS source. He had to shut up. He or at least go under the radar for a while, because just as they are doing on a intelligence level, we'll say with the CIA and other federal agencies, or with other international agencies, they're doing even stronger attempts to ferret out the sources inside the DHS. And my source was one who was picked out of numerous to pony up for various interviews and polygraphs and what have you. And I'm happy to say that and I'm not talking out of school, because this is vast. There's more than 20. Okay, there's hundreds, if not thousands, in that same category. But the bottom line is this: according to my DHS source, the Napolitano situation with Napolitano is in fact continuing to cozy up to Obama. The DHS is in fact preparing for an Obama win, and they're also preparing for a huge backlash. Now, why? Why would they be preparing for a huge backlash with an Obama win? Can you tell me that? Why? If Obama won, what are they preparing for a huge backlash for? It doesn't make sense to me. Well, according to my DHS source, watch the elections. Watch what happens immediately following the elections. Now, granted, according to my source, this Obama win is, and he had said, look, something doesn't feel right with this information. That's why, because this has been going on now for the last 60 days that we've been talking and not talking and talking and then getting this information. So something about this doesn't make sense. But the fact of the matter is, regardless of who wins, here is the piece of information you need to know. DHS is locked and loaded to come after the patriots, the constitutional people, the people that are saying, no, we're not going to put up with it. And it might be under the color of some sort of event with regard to the election. But you listening to this program, you're on the target. You're on their radar. You're a target. You, the non-Messiah worshiping, Obama Messiah worshiping guy or woman, you're the target for the next round of DHS activities. It's you. You're on the list. Oh, you think you're not on a list? You're on the list. You're on a list somewhere. Believe me, you're on the list. You're on the radar. You don't think you're on the radar? You're on the radar. If you even entertain that question, you're already on the radar. So, yes. This are the brown shirts that FEMA, that group of people that FEMA much celebrated. Remember we talked about that, Joe? Mm-hmm. Okay, that's nothing. The mechanisms they already have in place to come after you, to make your life miserable, to restrict your travel, to restrict your ability to do things, to put you on a list where you cannot get in. You could be arrested if you get within so many feet of buildings. That's you. Yeah, that's you.
The people who were screaming and crying when the Homeland Security Act was signed and were marginalized and called,
you're on the list.
Conspiracy theorists. Look at now what has happened. The Department of Homeland Security is the new Gestapo.
And yes, they executive orders too.
Used their power of this police state and turned it on patriots, constitutionalists, people who want nothing but smaller government and more of their rights back.
And we're seeing this
not the
up
terrorists,
close and personal,
not the fake boogeymen they create, the patsies they roll through with the FBI and foil their plots. This police state is aimed directly at us. We are on the bullseye. When I say us, I mean Christians. I mean
that's
patriots,
the other part
constitutionalists, anybody who stands for true freedom.
90 seconds.
Anybody who stands for Jesus Christ. Anybody who has a view that is opposing to the emperor himself is on the list, is on the target.
If you are a warrior for Christianity, if you are anything but sympathetic toward the Muslim faith or the interfaith dialogue, if you disagree with that, if you are a Catholic going out and saying, this is wrong, you're on the list.
60 seconds.
And if you think for one moment that you can escape the list by kind of going John Galt, turning dark, you can't do that, my friends. You cannot do that. You are already on that list because that is the way it is. That is what they have done. And they've done this for a number of years. And I'm not ranting. I'm just telling you a fact. I'm trying to just make sure you understand this. And I will have an article coming out with my source's permission. Finally, I will have something coming out. I was a little bit premature before. Joe, great show tonight.
Absolutely. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for listening. God bless you all. We will see you tomorrow night at the same time. You have a great night. Stay safe.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.